In a peaceful village called Baekryju, the backdrop is a mountain range that unfurls like a screen, blocking the chilly winter winds and providing a shield from the cold. To the side, a fairly large river flows, so there's no need to worry about drinking water. At the base of the vast mountain range, there is a rustic meadow. Looking down at the village from the hillside is a sight to behold. Especially in autumn, when the time for harvest is approaching, the White Ridge Hills absolutely glow with a golden light. We see a child being taken away from his family. He calls for their names while getting dragged away. He resists, telling the men who are taking him away that he doesn't want to go. But one of the men hits him in the face and calls him a lowly piece of trash. He threatens the child and tells him that if he doesn't follow their orders quietly, his family will be in danger. The kid wakes up inside a carriage and sees a couple of new, unfamiliar faces. He then notices the smell of the surrounding air. He gets up and sees the horrific scene of dead bodies and broken debris. He gets sick at the sight of this and throws up in the cart. The other men who are in the cart are disgusted by this, telling the child that he is not a warrior. They ask him what crime he committed to get sent to where they were. The kid doesn't give an answer. He just sits there in silence. The man who asked the question gets mad at the child's lack of response and attempts to hit him, but one of the other men stops him, telling him that a criminal will die in less than a day anyway. He tells the man to just think about how they can make the greatest contribution. The men start grinning and laughing. They start wondering if they could get the attention of the big shots if they combined their martial arts. One of the other men approaches the kid and tells him not to worry too much about the men who tried to assault him just earlier. The man apologizes and asks him if he started him. The kid asks the man if he knows where they are. The man is surprised. He asks the kid if he really came to the place without even knowing where it is. The man tells the kid that the place they are in is the Chianal Plain. Just as the name suggests, Chianal is a vast plain that would take 1,000 days to walk across its entire length. Because of the two factions that live there, this vast plain has never had a peaceful day. To the north is the Heavenly Demon Coalition, to the south is the Justice Alliance, and in between is where the two factions have been fighting non-stop, day and night. The Heavenly Demon Coalition is an alliance of the 6 demonic clans and 72 martial art sects. It's a place where the full power of the demonic way is concentrated. On the other hand, the Justice Alliance is made up of members from sects that follow the righteous way. This group of sects has united under the banner of demon extermination. They advocate for justice and seek to eradicate evil. With the conflict between the two factions, it was inevitable that the force of their enormous powers would explode one way or another. Eventually, the two factions clashed on the Chianal Plain, sparking the Great Demon War between the Justice Alliance and the Heavenly Demon Coalition. The man finishes his narration and jokingly tells the kid that he probably wouldn't understand even if he heard the rest of the story. But he reassures the kid that he will find out soon enough. Meanwhile, in the Justice Alliance military camp, a commander orders his troops to assemble. The commander is thinking that they need someone useful this time around. The kid from before gets the commander's attention. The commander wonders why a kid is there. He seems so out of place. The commander calls the kid and tells him to come over. The kid steps forward, and the commander asks for his name. The kid seems to be shaking and traumatized as he introduces himself as Simho. The commander wonders if Simho was sent by the Shining Cloud Pavilion. The commander then asks him what his martial arts are, which leaves Simho confused. The commander restates his question, asking Simho if he has learned any martial arts, to which Simho responds, never. The commander then wonders what the Shining Cloud Pavilion was thinking when sending such a young child to the battlefield, when even individuals who have mastered martial arts can become corpses in an instant. Suddenly, drums start banging, and someone announces that the Heavenly Demon Coalition is attacking. The commander announces that he will officially welcome everyone to the Demon Extermination Squad once they come back alive, and then orders everyone to attack. All the troops start making a move to fend off the enemy. Most of the human troops die instantly in battle with the demon troops. The human troops who haven't succumbed to death yet are already trembling and shaking in fear as they see the leader of the Heavenly Demon Army, Seok Daejeon. Both armies are making a move to eliminate the enemy. Meanwhile, Simho is at the back, trembling and wondering what kind of place he's in. All he sees is blood and dead bodies everywhere. While Simho is still processing the situation that he is in, One of the demon troops comes running in on a horse behind Simho. Simho notices his presence at the last minute, but a troop member comes in and decapitates the demon troop member. The man who saved Simho lends a hand, but then he gets stabbed from behind and collapses on the ground. Simho is there, defenseless and unable to move. The demon troop member approaches him, readying his sword to kill him. Simho wonders if this really is the end of his life, to die such a meaningless death. He refuses, telling himself that he doesn't want to die in a place like this. He reaches for the sword nearby and vows that he will return alive. Both armies continue battling each other to the death. Simho gets a hold of his sword and gets up on his feet. He refuses to accept death. The demon army troop dashes in, swinging his sword towards Simho. Simho wonders again if this is the end for him. He thinks of his father and sister. Suddenly, a man jumps in from behind him and kills the demon army troop member that tried to kill Simho. This man is the Black Ox unit leader, Ju Jinok. Simho is amazed by this man's display of power and bravery. More of the demon army's troops come running towards Simho and Ju Jinok. A woman then whispers into the ear of one of the demon army troops, telling him that she despises rough men. The demon army troop member is shocked and wonders how the woman got behind him on his horse and since when. She jumps off the horse and swiftly takes out all of the demon army troop members who were approaching Ju Jinok. This woman is Sawa from the Black Ox unit. An elderly man explains to Simho that the Black Ox unit is a Justice Alliance Special Operations unit. The elderly man then asks him why such a young child is in the middle of a battlefield. This elderly man is Mary from the Black Ox unit. The demon army troop member who attacked Simho made a large cut on his face. Mary tells him that because the wound is deep, a scar will remain on his face. The demon army's commander orders his troops to keep attacking because they outnumber the enemy. While the demon's army troops come marching forward, some of them get shot in the head. This is the work of the Black Ox unit's archer, Dang Jinho. The demon army commander sees that they're no match for the enemy in their current state, so he orders his remaining troops to retreat. As the commander and his demon army troops try to flee the battlefield, another Black Ox unit member steps in, Guan Siak. He asks the demon army commander where he is going when the battle hasn't even ended yet. He calls the commander cowardly. With his greatsword, he tosses the demon army commander and his horse into the air. They both come crashing into the ground, with the horse landing on top of the commander, immobilizing him. The Black Ox unit surrounds the demon army commander. Ju Jinok points the tip of his sword towards the commander's head and tells him that they will be bringing his head back. Simho is amazed by their incredible display of skill and power. In Baekryja, Simho's sister and father are gathered with other people in the middle of the night. Sim Hee-yeon, Simho's sister, asks her father what's happening. The father tells his daughter not to be scared and that it's probably not going to be a big deal. A man calls for everyone's attention and tells them that they will all be assigned to work on the castle's construction. The father steps forward, asking the man what he means by constructing a castle. He demands that he speak with the lord of the secret cloud pavilion. The man tells the father that the pavilion head does not have time to meet with trash like him. The father is confused and tells the man that this isn't what the lord promised. According to him, they took his son, Simho, on the condition that they wouldn't touch Baekryja village. The father calls the men out for going back on their word. The man draws out his sword and slashes the father. He falls to the ground, with his daughter running towards him. The village people are in shock that the man killed their village head. The man then asks the rest of the village if there is anyone else who is still dissatisfied with their orders. Sim Hee-yeon clings on to her father, begging him to wake up. The man instructs the village to hurry up and move. The village people run and follow the man's orders to avoid being killed next. The secret cloud pavilion head, Jae-gul-hui, sees the events transpire and calls the village people insignificant bugs. At Cheonil Plain, Justice Alliance garrison, the Justice Alliance Demon Extermination Squad commander, Dam Yeon-seong, is strategizing what their next move should be. The Justice Alliance squad leader, Gu Chung-hyeon, comes into the tent and tells Dam Yeon-seong that the Black Ox unit has come back. Dam Yeon-seong is shocked by the news that the Black Ox unit came back alive again. He wonders how such vexing bastards like them exist. He can't seem to understand how they continue to survive fighting against Seok Dae-jeon. Gu Cheong-hyen then proposes a plan to get rid of the Black Ox unit for good. He mentions that a child that was sent by the secret cloud pavilion, Sim-ho, will be involved. They continue discussing the plan. Dan Yeon-seong asks Gu Cheon-hyen if the plan is even possible, but he reassures him that it's possible and tells him to leave it all to him. The Black Ox unit gathers and talks. Dang Jin-ho throws his bags of arrows to the ground and then starts complaining about how they haven't been given time to rest. They were given 5 missions to complete in just a week, and to top it off, they're still one person short. He even says that it looks like the people assigning them these missions are deliberately trying to kill them. So Gwon-seok tells him not to be so grumpy since they still made it out alive after all. Dang Jin-ho then asks Sawa why she brought a kid to their base. Maui then asks him how they could abandon a seriously injured child on the battlefield. He says that he'll just take care of the child's wound until it heals. Sawa then asks Dang Jin-ho if he has no conscience. She asks him how he can say such a thing after seeing such a cute kid. Sim-ho is flustered and blushing from being cuddled by Sawa. Dang Jin-ho says that the kid doesn't look cute at all in his eyes. He then asks where their captain went. Meanwhile, the captain, Ju Jinok, is asking Dan Yeon-seong if Jaegil-wei was the one who sent him. Dan Yeon-seong then angrily calls out the captain for addressing the secret cloud pavilion's lord in such a disrespectful manner. The captain then points out how strange it is to place a child who hasn't even mastered a martial art into the Black Ox unit. Dan Yeon-seong then says that Sim-ho is great since he was capable of surviving the battle despite not having studied martial arts. He brushes it off and even says that he can't even remember the name of the previous member of the Black Ox unit who died. He then remembers that it was Nang-gaek, and he tells the captain that Sim-ho will surely outshine him. The captain then throws a knife that sticks to the backrest of the chair Dan Yeon-seong is sitting in. The knife is just a few inches away from his face. The captain tells him to never let Nang-gaek's name come out of his mouth. The captain then warns him that even if he is a commander, if he mentions Nang-gaek's name again, he won't let him go the next time. Meanwhile, at the Black Ox unit's base, Sawa and Dang Jin-ho are arguing about Sim-ho being at their base. So Gwon-seok is happily ignoring the two's arguing and just continues polishing his sword. The captain comes back, and Sawa tells everyone to listen. The captain tells everyone that a new member has been added to the Black Ox unit. All members are in joyous shock. They ask who the person is, and the captain tells them that it is the child. This news shocks all of them. Dang Jin-ho turns red as he hears the news that the child they found will be joining their unit. Sim-ho is trembling in shock at this news as well. Dang Jin-ho calls the captain out of his mind to let a kid who can't even do martial arts join the Black Ox unit. He asks the captain if he has thought about the risks involved in this decision. Sim-ho speaks up and says that he will proceed with joining the Black Ox unit. He says that he may be useless now, but if the rest of the Black Ox unit teaches him martial arts, then he will be useful to the Black Ox someday. So Gwon-seok seems to be impressed by the kid's determination and spirit. The captain says that the decision is final. Dang Jin-ho storms off outside in frustration. Sawa starts hugging Sim-ho, calling him her little brother. She tells him that he can live with her from now on. The captain tells the rest of the unit that starting today, they will train him. He instructs them all to teach the kid properly so he can become a member as soon as possible. Sawa and So Gwon-seok leave with Sim-ho. Maui then asks the captain what's on his mind. The captain explains that Sim-ho seems to have been sent as part of Jaegil-wee's scheme. Maui asks what Sim-ho has to do with Jaegil-wee. The captain says that he doesn't know the details, but to him, it looks like they're planning something by holding the child hostage, and the hostage doesn't even need to be alive, so that's why he was sent to Chinal Plain. Maui then asks if that is the reason why he accepted the child, and if he intended to exact revenge on Jaegil-wee. Meanwhile, Sim-ho is training with So Gwon-seok. He asks the child what his name is. It seems that this is the 12th time he's asked Sim-ho that very question. He tells the kid that he doesn't know why their leader accepted him as a new member, but as he is now, he cannot recognize Sim-ho as a member of the Black Ox. He tells him that training is the answer, but the training will be so harsh that he will regret it. He then asks him if he is prepared. With determination, he yells that he is prepared. After carrying the heavy bags, he collapses to the ground, tired. So Gwon-seok tells Sim-ho that he's nothing but talk. He wonders if Sim-ho can really be trusted when he's so fragile. He tells Sim-ho that he needs to learn the fundamentals first so he can handle his body more easily. He grabs Sim-ho and lets him ride on his shoulder, telling him to take a good look. Gwon-seok jumps through the forest so strongly that it gives Sim-ho whiplash. A month has passed, and Sim-ho has made significant progress with his training. He is now more agile, and he has built more muscle. While training, Mali pays Sim-ho a visit. Mali asks him if he feels tired yet from all the training he's done for the day, but Sim-ho just says that it's manageable. Ever since he learned the fundamentals through Gwon-seok, his steps have become much lighter. Mali tells him that they will be training something else for that day and tells him to follow him. Mali starts lecturing Sim-ho, telling him that the fundamentals of martial arts are important, as is tactical training, but on the battlefield, the most important thing is to be able to keep your mind under control and stay calm in any situation. Sim-ho then asks him how one can master that, and Mali tells him that the true strength for that comes from one's own mental acuity. Mali shows him an antibacterial herb. It is a vital medicinal herb used as a basic ingredient in various medicines. He says that accumulating as many of those herbs as possible is the priority. This is Sim-ho's training for that day. This has Sim-ho confused, so he asks Mali how herb collection will help him survive on the battlefields. Mali tells him that if he underestimates something as simple as gathering herbs, he will regret it later. According to Mali, the best training that expedites patience and observation is herb gathering. He tells Sim-ho that they will collect herbs in different areas, so they split up. Sim-ho finds a plant that resembles the herb that Mali showed. He's unsure if it's the right herb, but he takes it with him just in case. Sim-ho starts thinking that he will never be able to see his family again if he doesn't make enough progress. He's also unsure if his father or sister are still alive. He then notices something nearby. He hides behind a rock and spies on the demon army troops passing by. He wonders what they are doing in the area. One of the troop members turns in Sim-ho's direction, but he immediately hides behind the rock to avoid getting caught. Sim-ho thought he wasn't detected by the troops, but he was surely mistaken as one of the demon troop members jumped in to kill him. Sim-ho avoids his attacks, and Mali comes to the rescue. Mali is able to fend off the troop member, but because of all the ruckus, he gets the attention of the other demon troop members roaming around. The troops dash in to attack Mali, but Mali has enough time to stay calm and observe his surroundings before making a move. With his sword, Mali strikes the ground beside him, which rolls the large rock off the edge of the cliff. The rock crushes the troops, and Sim-ho is saved. Sim-ho is amazed by Mali's display of skill, and Mali explains that it would be a mistake to think of him as just an old man who only knows about medicine. Mali then senses something, and without a second thought, he grabs Sim-ho and dodges the attack that was coming towards them. It seems that the demon army has sent in backup. The man who seems to be leading the troop starts making condescending comments directed towards Mali. He asks him if today is his father's death anniversary, and then he mockingly congratulates him, telling him that he will share the same fate as his father. Mali seems to be angered by this comment. The demon army surrounds Mali and Sim-ho. There seems to be no possible means of escape, so Mali hands Sim-ho a flare to call for their colleagues. Mali instructs Sim-ho to set off the flare from the tree on a high cliff so their allies will be able to see it. The demon army troop goes on to make a move. Mali tells Sim-ho to go onto the cliff to set off the flare while he holds the troops back. The troop leader tells his troops to attack with no mercy, but Mali is able to easily defeat the troops and tells them not to underestimate such an old man. He then asks them if they are here to avenge the death of Seok Daejin. The troop leader then angrily tells Mali that he will tear his limbs apart and offer his soul to appease his brother. Sim-ho tries to escape the troops chasing after him, but Mali is able to catch up and finish them off. The troops have lost track of Sim-ho, but he is actually just hiding in the tall grass nearby, aiming his arrow towards them, waiting to strike. He releases the arrow, but he misses his shot. His location is revealed, so he continues to make a move to escape. Sim-ho makes it to the tree by the cliff, and he tries to prepare the flare to call the other members, but the demon troop members catch up to him and punch him in the face. The impact of the punch is so strong that it pushes him all the way to the tree. The troop member grabs Sim-ho by the neck, and he prepares to stab him with his sword, but before he can, Sim-ho sets off the flare, blinding the troop member. This angers him, and he goes in to make another attack, but it seems that backup has already arrived. Meanwhile, Mali is still fending off the demon troop members. The remaining troops are in utter shock and disbelief that an old man like Mali is able to defeat so many of their elite members just by himself. The troop leader releases a hook that wraps around Mali, restricting his movement and preventing him from escaping. Mali gets on his knees, seemingly accepting defeat, but the other Black Ox members arrive soon enough. A barrage of arrows comes flying from above, killing the remaining demon troop members. Jinho arrives and scolds Mali for leaving without relaying anything to the other members. Simho dashes in to free Mali, but a demon troop member comes in to fight. Simho's sword breaks from the impact. He has nothing to defend himself with, and Jinho ran out of arrows to assist. Simho then remembers his training with Guanxia when he was taught the flowing cloud step. It's a technique that makes the body move smoothly, like clouds floating in the sky. He says that if Simho can master this technique, he won't ever die easily wherever he goes. Right before he could get struck by the demon troop member's sword, he used the technique to avoid the attack. Mali kicks his sword towards Simho, and he catches it. Simho comes flying down, sword in hand, striking the enemy. The day passes, and Mali compliments Simho for his work earlier. He tends to Simho's wounds and wraps them in bandages. Mali compliments Simho for being able to make astute situational judgments and for being able to call Jinho for help. Simho is flattered by the compliments, but Jinho hits him at the back of the head and says that it wasn't Simho that brought him to the area. He says that he came over in search of a bow that was stolen by Simho. Simho apologizes to Jinho, but Mei reassures him that he accomplished a great feat in the battle that day, and they head back home. Back at the base, the Black Ox discusses the events that happened earlier that day. Sawa is amazed by the news that Simho was able to win a fight against the mysterious Moon Sect. Jinho then makes a comment, saying that Sawa talks like an older sister when she's actually more of an aunt. The rest of the Black Ox, except Jinho, continue to shower Simho with praise. All the compliments start to anger Jinho, and he lashes out, saying that it was he who saved Simho and Mei. He says that if he hadn't found them, they would have been killed by the demon troop. Sawa gets annoyed by Jinho's outburst and kicks him in the face. Simho continues his training during the night's time. He is practicing his swordmanship against a dummy. The captain arrives and sees Simho doing his training. He hands him a cloth towel and tells him to take a short break. They sit down together and have a talk. He compliments Simho, telling him that what he did earlier that day was really courageous, and he even compliments his tactics, calling them very effective. He asks Simho if he rushed in to save Mei immediately. He tells him that it is good to have a mindset to protect one's colleagues. Simho then asks if Mei is doing okay, and the captain tells him that there is no need to worry because, contrary to appearances, Mei is actually quite healthy. The captain tells him not to worry so much and to just focus on his training. He hands him a notebook, and Simho asks what it is. The captain explains that not too long ago, his friend passed away, and that notebook is what that friend left behind. His friend asked him to pass on his internal energy cultivation technique to someone he thought was suitable for it. He explains that the internal energy cultivation technique has been passed down from generation to generation. It is a technique that was developed through the process of fighting against a large number of people. The technique truly embodies the ultimate practical experience of martial arts. Simho asks the captain how he could give him something so precious. The captain says that he was deserving to learn such a technique, but even with the greatest teacher or with an exceptional internal energy cultivation technique, ultimately, if one lacks the desire to learn for oneself, at the end of the day, it would just be a useless pile of paper, so he tells Simho to not neglect his training. After giving his word of advice, he goes on to leave, but he turns back and welcomes Simho to the Black Ox unit. Simho is reading the notebook. He reads that the writer spent his entire life fighting to get stronger. As the child of a powerless slave, the only way to live as a human was to gain strength. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from the bonds of a third-rate martial artist. And the reason was that he hadn't learned a proper internal energy cultivation technique. It is said that within the renowned sects, internal energy cultivation techniques have been continually improved over the years. Simho also wants to learn this technique. He is amazed by the feats this person is able to achieve, and with the conviction to become stronger, he decided to create his own martial art form from scratch. The manual that was given to him by the captain was more like a historical record or a diary than an actual martial arts manual. In the manual, in addition to the story of Nanggek's lifelong battles, countless other people's lives and experiences were vividly described. Someday, he'd like to see what lies at the end of the martial path. Sim-ho is still unsure why the captain gave him the manual, but for him to return home, he has to learn the technique. The next day comes and the captain and Mei have a discussion over breakfast. Mei says that he is surprised that the captain was willing to give Nanggek's manual to Sim-ho so easily. The captain says that he already made his mind up and that the moment he heard that Sim-ho came there because of Jaegil-wee's plot, Mei wondered if Jaegil-wee was taking Sim-ho hostage. It's implying that they are plotting something. The captain agrees with Mei's suspicions and says that is why they need to train Sim-ho so he can resist. He says that he won't know if Sim-ho will be able to survive until the end. But if he can, he hopes a day will come when he can give Jaegil-wee a taste of his own medicine. He says that Nanggek would surely be happy. Mei agrees and says that if what happened to Nanggek was really because of Jaegil-wee, then he'd hate him even more than the Heavenly Demon Coalition, despite them being the #1 enemy. But then Mei asks the captain to clarify if the head of the Secret Cloud Pavilion is his elder brother. The captain says that his brother is considered peerless, but at the same time, he is the one who played the biggest role in sending him to that place. Meanwhile, at the Justice Alliance Secret Cloud Pavilion, the deputy leader, Dan Se-ryong, greets the head. The Secret Cloud Pavilion head, Jaegil-wee, tells her to keep it short. Se-ryong informs him that after the death of Deputy General Seok Dae-jian, who was killed by the Black Ox Unit, it is said that Yu Jun-ha, the leader of the mysterious Moon Sect, was also killed by the Black Ox Unit. Jaegil-wee says that his brother just can't keep quiet, comparing him to a fish out of water floundering around aimlessly. He asks the girl how the Baekryja project is going. Se-ryong reports that everything is going well. In a few years, if things keep going as they are, the construction will be completed according to Jaegil-wee's wishes. He then says that if they hold the village head's child as a hostage, they can't do anything. The girl then reports that, according to the Justice Alliance officer's report, the village chief's son, Sim-ho, is still alive and was assigned to the Black Ox Unit. This news shocks Jaegil-wee. The girl explains that it appears that the commander made an arbitrary decision. Jaegil-wee is really mad now. He says that Baekryja will serve as another stronghold for the Justice Alliance, so she must always be careful and proceed with caution. She finishes her report and leaves the room. She joined the Justice Alliance for the sake of justice, but she wonders why the Justice Alliance is so different from what she had thought. After heinous acts such as killing innocent people in order to capture one village and treating a young boy as if he were a toy, she wonders what she should do now. Sim-ho is practicing the internal energy cultivation technique. Although it's still weak, his internal energy has formed in just 3 weeks. In a flashback, we see Sim-ho asking So-gwon-seok for advice on how to build up energy quickly. He agrees to help the kid, but before giving any advice, he offers him a drink first. Sim-ho respectfully declines the drink because he can't drink alcohol yet, but So-gwon-seok insists that it's okay. He ends up drinking a cup of alcohol. Sim-ho starts wondering how drinking is going to help cultivate the cup, then starts overflowing with alcohol. So-gwon-seok then starts explaining that a small glass cannot hold a large amount of alcohol, and the same is true for internal energy. In his own words, regardless of how enthusiastic and strong one's motivation is, one's internal energy will always be limited by one's own capacity. Back in the present, Sim-ho is wondering what So-gwon-seok meant. He wonders if it means that there are limits to what can be achieved through internal energy cultivation techniques alone. Everyone who wrote in the book, without exception, is aware that there are issues with the cultivation techniques that they have learned, but no one has recounted a solution. He then wonders if there really is no way to become strong quickly. Sawa makes a sudden appearance, scaring Sim-ho. She asks him if he's busy because she wants Sim-ho to go get supplies with her. Sim-ho then asks her if there is a place for them to receive supplies. Sawa then grabs Sim-ho and makes him join her in buying supplies. They arrive at the Justice Alliance's Manhwa Market. Despite being on a battlefield, it's still a place where people live, since having a market is necessary for people to earn a livelihood. The market even has materials that one would need on the battlefield. Sim-ho is amazed that a market is bustling as this is in the middle of a battlefield. The people around the market take notice of Sawa and Sim-ho. People seem to nickname Sawa as Death Flower. Sawa then gets giddy when she sees all the stuff that's being sold in the market. She is running around enjoying herself, and Sim-ho calls for her, telling her to wait for him. Unchu-san from the Justice Alliance Spirit Chasing Unit arrives, bringing a log of wood. He starts insulting the market out in the open, calling the place filthy and even comparing it to a pigsty. Sim-ho then jumps towards Unchu-san and punches him in the face. Sawa comes in and helps with the situation. They gather information from Unchu-san and his colleague. Both Unchu-san and his colleague are from Baekryja, like Sim-ho. Sim-ho's father, who is the village head, is struggling to somehow protect the village to the point that he even sent his own son, Sim-ho, to a battlefield as a hostage to strengthen the deal. They played the role of a fox as in making the Justice Alliance investigate the village. Sawa then starts getting mad, but the two lads tell her that it was all their father's doing and not due to their own will. Sim-ho then points out that Unchu-san said earlier that he came to the battlefield to make a name for himself after hearing what his father said. Unchu-san then tries to explain himself, but then Sawa gets mad at him for using informal language towards Sim-ho. He tries to defend himself, saying that after Sim-ho was taken away, there weren't enough soldiers to fight in the Great Demon War, so the Justice Alliance took a lot of young men from their village. Sim-ho then asks Unchu-san if his father and sister are okay. Unchu-san says that he can't really say, but he said that they were holding up well until he left. Sim-ho then asks him what he meant by they were holding up well. He explains that the Justice Alliance wants to build a castle in their village, so they have been forcing them to become laborers. Sawa and Sim-ho wondered why the Justice Alliance would do such a thing. Sim-ho then says that it must be Jaegulwee's doing. Sawa then asks Sim-ho if he's talking about Jaegulwee from the Secret Cloud Pavilion. Jaegulwee is a second-generation disciple of Munjung-san, the leader of the Justice Alliance. The head of the Secret Cloud Pavilion is a group of strategists who hold crucial information. As the Justice Alliance's second-in-command, he wielded enormous power. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that most of the operations carried out by the Justice Alliance were conceived in his head. Despite being the leader's older brother, they don't really get along well, but Sawa could never imagine that they'd do something like that in the name of the Justice Alliance. Sim-ho then violently asks Unchu-san what they were doing until it reached that point. Sim-ho then starts lashing out at Unchu-san, calling out how he used to brag about learning martial arts in their village. But he ended up in a sorry and pitiful state. People in their village were being dragged away and slaughtered as if it were an insignificant matter to the Justice Alliance, but Unchu-san did nothing. Unchu-san then says that he couldn't help it, since if he resisted, then they would have killed him in one slash, just like the village head. But before he could finish his sentence, he shut himself up. Sim-ho then asks Unchu-san to repeat what he said. He asks if his father really did pass away. Sim-ho pushes him away. The state of shock on his face is clear as day. Unchu-san and his colleague try to make a run for it, but Sawa chases after them. Sim-ho starts breaking down and starts thinking about what he's done. Sim-ho is sleeping in bed, and he is dreaming about what had just transpired with Unchu-san and the information he got from them regarding the village and his father. He wakes up and starts shaking. The other Black Ox Unit members are watching over him, concerned. Apparently, Sim-ho's younger sister is being held captive while Sim-ho is fighting relentlessly on the battlefield. They can't even imagine the shock one would feel to hear the news that their parents were murdered, especially from a child as young as Sim-ho. Jin-ho then walks off, saying that everyone on the battlefield has a backstory. Night comes, and Sim-ho is still awake and mortified. He walks out of the tent and tries to escape the base through a secret hole in the wall. The captain catches him and asks him if he's planning on deserting. The captain says that he understands if Sim-ho is worried about his sister, and if he wants to leave the base, he won't stop him. If he chooses to leave now, he will be free, but if he proceeds, he will be labeled as a deserter and will be relentlessly pursued, and if he is caught, he won't be able to avenge his family. Sim-ho's face starts to turn bright red from the anger and frustration. Just because he can leave the base doesn't mean he can stand up to Jaegulwee. Sim-ho then asks the captain what he should do. The captain then asks him what he truly desires. If he either wants to avenge his father or save his little sister. The captain says that the only way to achieve either of those two was to get stronger as soon as possible, but now there is no way for Simho to achieve it. In an angry state, Simho says that even if his body is all that he has, he's going to confront Jagalwi right away. Meli then interjects and tells them that there is another way. He tells him that he has reached a bottleneck with Nangek's internal energy cultivation manual. Simho asks Mei how he knew this, and he explains that he has studied internal energy cultivation techniques since he was young. In addition, whenever Nangek trained in the technique, he was present and was able to observe how he trained. The essence of Nangek's cultivation technique is a balance between internal and external techniques. However, the cultivation manual that Simho received only contains the external cultivation technique. So while it's possible to improve one's martial art to a certain level, there is a limit to how much one can improve with just external technique. Simho then realizes why he made such slow progress while trying to accumulate internal energy. Mei explains that he has treated many people without regard for their social status, and in the process, he developed an acupuncture technique that expels impurities, corrects imbalanced energy, and stimulates innate potential to the fullest, thus making the human body as pure as possible. It is called the golden needle acupuncture technique. As the human body becomes pure, it transforms into a vessel capable of absorbing massive amounts of internal energy while also receiving golden needle acupuncture. One must abandon any previously learned martial art techniques. No one in the Black Ox unit had ever received this golden needle of acupuncture. The captain then asks if this was the technique that Mei had made solely for his own granddaughter. Mei explains that his granddaughter had already passed, so there would be no point in giving it such a grandiose name if it was just going to collect dust. He says that he needs to show its true value. The captain then points out how this procedure is too dangerous, and furthermore, if Simho, who has not properly learned any martial arts, receives the golden needle acupuncture technique, he may even fall ill. But before the captain could even finish his sentence, Simho said that he would proceed with the golden needle technique with all the conviction in his voice. He says that he needs to become stronger, so he has to go back to Bakeridge as soon as possible to save his sister and all of the villagers. He says that unless the captain had only allowed him to join the Black Ox unit out of pity, he demands that the technique be used on him. The captain asks Mei one more time if he's sure that Simho can withstand the process of the technique. Mei says that Simho has survived many times on the battlefield, so it's worth trying, according to him. However, it would be better to thoroughly prepare, as he may be unable to bear the pain and attempt to flee. He says that they will do it tomorrow morning as soon as it gets light, so he tells Simho to go to bed early. The next day comes and Sawa asks what's happening and what exactly they are doing to Simho. Simho is tied down on a wooden cross. Mei asks him if he is ready for the technique to be performed on him. He says that once they begin the procedure, they cannot stop halfway. Simho says that he is ready and that he is counting on Mei. He is determined to return to Bakeridge. Thus, Mei begins the golden acupuncture technique. With the needle between his fingers, he concentrates his energy and stabs the needle into Simho's arm. He is going through excruciating pain. The captain tells him to stay still. The other Black Ox members start to worry if Simho is going to be okay. Mei keeps reminding Simho to endure the pain for the technique to work. Simho can only think of his father and sister and his determination to become stronger in order to protect their family. In the bamboo forest, there roams a mysterious lady in white. This woman is the Jade Empress Seal, Surian. While roaming, she calls for the troops of the Justice Alliance to come out. They surround her, and she unleashes her power, creating a circle of white aura around her. She seems unimpressed by the Justice Alliance. She wonders how the Justice Alliance was able to catch her when information regarding her mission was kept confidential even within the Heavenly Demon Coalition. She suspects that the troops surrounding her are not from the Justice Alliance. Her suspicions were correct, but it seems that the men surrounding her have no intention of letting her off alive. They charge in and try to attack her, but she draws out her sword and unleashes her power. Meanwhile, in Chianel Plain, Manmulro Marker, a tall man walks into a shop. He greets the old man in the shop. The old man says that he's been coming to his shop regularly for 6 years now. This man is revealed to be Simho, but older, bigger, and more muscular. He is 6 years older, making him 18. He came by the shop to take the item he had requested, and the old man handed it over to him. It is a chest plate that weighs 18 kilograms. Together with its shoulder guard and belt, its total weight would be around 28 kilograms. Sim-ho takes his armor and thanks the old man as he leaves. While walking through the market, Sim-ho makes eye contact with a mysterious man in white. The man in white tells Sim-ho to stop and tells him that he's being disrespectful for not greeting the commander-in-chief. This man is the Justice Alliance Demon Extermination Squad commander, Dam Yeon-song. Sim-ho then responds to the man, telling him that he would never be polite to someone who threw him into a hellhole. Dam Yeon-song's companion gets offended by Sim-ho's rebelliousness, but Dam Yeon-song tells him to stop and just calm down. He tells Sim-ho that he's unsure how he's been able to survive the last 6 years, ever since he got put on the battlefield. He warns him, telling him that there will come a time when he and his arrogant leader will perish in agony together. Suddenly, Jin-ho arrives, being pushed by a strong force. This was the work of Sawa of the Black Ox Unit. Jin-ho, Sawa, and So Gwon-seok are in the market as well. Sawa was able to break the wall with just a single slap. Dam Yeon-song takes his lead with his companion. Sim-ho asks Sawa and Jin-ho if they're playing craps again. Sawa asks Sim-ho if he's in the market to buy his strange armor again while she pins Jin-ho down to the ground. Sawa and Jin-ho continue bickering, and So Gwon-seok just laughs at their shenanigans. Suddenly, something comes flying in their direction. Jin-ho is able to catch the bamboo in his hand, but the bamboo starts releasing a strange smoke. More smoke-filled bamboo come flying in and release the smoke. They then realize that it's not just any smoke, it's an energy-dispersing poison. If they inhale the poison, they won't be able to use any internal energy. Some people are approaching the Justice troops. They wonder if it's an enemy attack. Waves of energy start getting emitted from the people. The people who made the attack were the Heavenly Demon Coalition. They seem to be looking for Dam Yeon-song, the commander-in-chief. The Justice troops try their best to fend off the enemies, but they are struggling. The demon troops kill them one by one. Sawa has already inhaled the poison, so she's been weakened. Jin-ho didn't expect to be ambushed in a place like the Manhwa market. Meanwhile, So Gwon-seok is drinking alcohol. Their captain is in the barracks, and Mali is busy gathering herbs, so they really are at a disadvantage. One of the demon troop members comes in running to attack Jin-ho, calling him a prostitute. Sim-ho saves Jin-ho before he gets attacked. He tells Jin-ho to inform their captain and that he will keep the enemy at bay. Jin-ho doesn't want to go because he doesn't want their leader to know that he's been gambling again, but Sawa kicks his butt to make him go. Sim-ho swings his heavy armor around like a weapon to fend off the enemies. Sim-ho doesn't seem to be affected by the energy-dispersing poison at all. Sawa warns Sim-ho of the attack coming from behind him. He swings his armor towards the enemy, making an attack on him, but with the strike from her sword, Sim-ho's armor is shattered and broken. Sim-ho then prepares a punch that pushes Suryan back. At the Heavenly Demon Coalition, Suryan is having a meeting with the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition, Dam Chil-hwang. The Lord asks her if this is their first meeting since the former Lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition went missing. He tells her to just talk casually, but she just blankly stares at him in silence. The Lord then proceeds with the reason why she is called for Suryan. He says that he wants her to go to Chinal Plain. He tells her that the mission is to assassinate Dam Yeon-song, the Justice Alliance commander-in-chief. According to their reports, Dam Yeon-song has been frequently appearing at the Manhwa market near the Justice Alliance army camp. He tells her that he has another mission for her. He hands her a package and tells her to open it only when she reaches the Heavenly Demon Coalition's Chinal Plain base. She accepts his orders and leaves. Meanwhile, in the bamboo forest, taking out the men who ambushed her, Suryan grabs one of the men by the throat. She asks him if they were sent in by the Heavenly Lord, but the man neither confirms nor denies this and tells the girl to ask her master in hell. She throws the man to the ground and tells him to tell her brother to use a more creative method. During the fight between Suryan and Sim-ho at the market, they go head-to-head. She says that there is a younger sister who, like a fox, aims for the back of one's head. Sim-ho asks her what she means by fox. Suryan kicks Sim-ho, and he crashes through multiple building walls. Hiding in the nearby debris are Dam Yeon-song and his companion. Sim-ho tells him that everyone is fighting and putting their lives on the line, but he's just hiding like a coward. Dan Yongshang tells Simho that the woman he's fighting is the former lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition's disciple, the Jade Empress, Seal Surian. She tells Simho that she didn't expect him to still be standing after taking the hit from her. She compliments him, saying that he's remarkably strong for his age. She then asks him who he is. He comes dashing in towards Surian at incredible speeds. He goes in for a punch, but Surian is able to deflect this attack. But as she was going to go in for her attack, Simho had suddenly vanished. He appears from behind her, and he strikes, but she was able to dodge him just in time. Simho is moving at a speed that's so fast that he is able to enter a space that humans cannot perceive. She even compares his speed to that of a leopard and a tiger and wonders what kind of technique he is using. Everyone around them is amazed by how Simho is able to go toe-to-toe with someone like the Jade Empress. Surian is a disciple of Yun Mun Seong, the former lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition, as well as the younger sister of Dam Chil Wang, the current lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition. Rumor has it that even if she fights her older brother, she is on par with him. They even comment that Surian hasn't used her special technique yet. Surian focuses her energy in her fist. It's her technique called the Divine Jade Fist. It has the most destructive power of any martial art in the world. It can compete against even the highest levels of martial arts. Up until now, no one has been able to take that move head-on. With his speed, Simho is still able to dodge her attacks and avoid major injuries, but he gets cut by the flying glass. These two going against each other is an amazing feat to witness, and the sheer power they are showing is purely catastrophic. Simho and Surian are still on their feet. Simho seems to have been weakened by Surian's attack, but she still seems to have the energy to make another attack. The captain swoops in and helps Simho in their fight. She fends off both of them and calls them cowards. Soon enough, the rest of the Black Ox unit steps in and assists in the fight. Surian is confused since the poison gas from earlier should have weakened them. Mei arrives, and he says that he healed them with his detoxifying herbs. All of the Black Ox unit members are healthy and ready to fight. Surian sees this as troublesome, with most of their men already down. She asks her opponent, Simho, what his name is, and she tells him that she will remember his name and that she has a feeling that she will be seeing him a lot more from then on. Sawa gets mad at her, thinking this was an attempt at seducing Simho. Dan Yeonsong gets up and orders the captain of the Black Ox to stop joking around with the Heavenly Demon Coalition and just take them out quickly. After showing himself, the Heavenly Demon Coalition quickly goes after him to assassinate him. The Black Ox moves quickly to protect him. They are annoyed that Dan Yeonsong showed himself at the worst possible time, making things much more complicated for them. The captain fends off a familiar face, Yu Yi-sang. Yu Yi-sang vows to show him who between them has the upper hand. While the Heavenly Demon Coalition is busy fighting the Black Ox unit, Dan Yeonsong tries to make an escape, but he is too slow and is caught by Surian. She strikes an attack directed at the Lord, intending to assassinate him, but Simho comes in just in time to block the attack. She then asks him why he is so loyal to her. Simho responds to the question using his fist, attempting to land a hit on Surian, but she is too quick for him. He finally tells her that he is not loyal to them and that he is just fighting them for his family members, who are being held captive by them. After hearing this, Surian takes her leave, but she tells him that next time, things won't end as easily. She tells her men that Dan Yeongshang has successfully escaped, and she calls for her men to retreat. They release a smoke bomb so they will not be traced back. Surian tells Simho goodbye as she walks into the smoke. Simho is confused about why Surian stopped their duel just then. He goes back and picks up the thing that she dropped earlier during the fight. He unwraps the paper and sees that it is the Heavenly Demon Lord's emblem. 100 years ago, in the Forbidden Demon Palace, 10 demons who had committed various evil deeds appeared. In Miram, they were known as the 10 Great Demons and were regarded as objects of fear and terror. To subdue the 10 great demons, hundreds of skilled martial artists, as well as dozens of peak martial artists, banded together. After a long struggle, they succeeded in confining all of them in a massive underground cavern beneath Mount Kilian. After the 10 great demons were successfully imprisoned, the entrance was sealed with metal chains and locks to ensure they would never be able to leave the cavern again. Over time, the underground cavern was used to imprison other demons and criminals who committed unforgivable crimes in Merim. The underground cavern became known as the Forbidden Demon Palace, and those who were trapped in this underground palace were soon forgotten by the rest of the world. But the rumor has it that in the Forbidden Demon Palace, the survivors banded together and established communities. Every now and then, other rumors would circulate that they were just biding their time within the Forbidden Demon Palace, slowly building their power. The Heavenly Demon Lord is having a meeting with one of his associates, King Dam Chiel's envoy, the three-brained sage, Yeom Chianil. The sage seems thrilled, saying that the Lord can finally kick the Jade Empress out of the Heavenly Demon Coalition. The Lord says that there is no need, since she's just a little annoying. According to their plan, she should have died before even reaching the Chianil plane, but she really is a tough nut. Yeom Chianil asks the Lord if she was one of the former Heavenly Lord's watchdogs, since he is concerned that she will refuse to obey his orders. The Lord says that his master wanted her to keep him in line, since he was always concerned about him following the path of evil. Yeom then utters that no one can keep the Heavenly Lord in check because he is the one and only Lord of that era. The Lord then says that it is because of his talented family members' abilities. He then asks Yeom about the progress of the search for his master. He tells the Lord that they are doing everything they can to find him, but they will require more time. The Lord then angrily tells him to track down his master as soon as possible, since it will be difficult for him to pursue his goal if his master is still alive. Yeom tells him that he will make sure to engrave it deep in his heart and never forget it. He says that if they follow her, they will undoubtedly discover traces of the former Heavenly Lord. He then asks the Lord what secret mission he gave to Surian. He personally made a request to his sister that since they have successfully established contact with the Forbidden Demon Palace, they'd bring their men and destroy the Justice Alliance base on the Chianil Plain immediately. But then Yeom points out that they failed to find the entrance to that place. The Lord says that they don't know for certain, however, no reconnaissance team has returned thus far. If an outsider enters the abandoned people's hideout, which has been forgotten by the rest of the world, it will be like putting one's head in the mouth of a tiger. Even with the title and reputation of Jade Empress, could she deal with so many demons who have been practicing the demonic arts for hundreds of years? All the Lord does now is wish his sister the best of luck. At the Justice Alliance Black Ox Unit barracks, the Black Ox Unit is discussing what happened when the Heavenly Demon Coalition attacked them at the market. Jinho wonders if they are planning to let loose all the criminals in the Forbidden Demon Palace just to deal with them. So Guan Siak says that he is unsure if those rumors are even true. Manny then asks what the higher-ups' responses are, but the captain says that he hasn't reported anything about the Forbidden Demon Palace. Apparently, Dan Yun-seong hasn't reported the Manhwa market incident to the higher-ups. Jinho suspects that he won't report anything because it could jeopardize his career. Manny says that Dan Yun-seong is someone who is desperate to advance in the Justice Alliance and that he is only concerned with himself and what will benefit him. So if he sees something troublesome and dangerous, like the Forbidden Demon Palace, he will try to hide it and never tell anyone. Sawa asks what they should do since they cannot allow the Forbidden Demon Palace and the Heavenly Demon Coalition to communicate in this manner. This matter could put the entirety of the Justice Alliance territory in danger, not to mention Chianil Plain. While the captain is trying to come up with a plan, Simho suggests that they go alone since it's their responsibility, regardless of what the higher-ups say, to protect the Justice Alliance. He even asks if reporting is necessary when everyone is at risk in the situation. Jinho then angrily tells Simho that it's a defection. He says that if they go without reporting and get caught, they have to take responsibility. But then the captain says that if they proceed with the plan, they have to find out if the insignia is real. He says that someone has to do it, and he even offers to take full responsibility. He tells all the Black Ox Unit members that they will all depart for the Forbidden Demon Palace tomorrow at dawn. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Demon Coalition's Chianil Plain base, Surian is meditating. By her master's orders, she must remain at the Heavenly Demon Coalition headquarters to keep her elder brother in check, but without realizing it, she was like a frog at the bottom of a well. Drunk on her own achievements, she forgot that there are many other strong people in the world. She remembers her fight with Simho, when even after discovering that she had been practicing the martial arts taught by her master for years, he didn't back down at all. For some reason, she felt a deep connection with him, and she is sure that they will meet again. Yu Yi-sang comes to Surian's tent, asking her about what she has found. She tells him that they must embark on a journey tomorrow morning. Yu Yi-sang is confused by this since they had already attacked Manhwa Market yesterday. He asks her if they will attack again. As Suryan was about to show Yu Yi-sang the secret order, she realized that she had lost it. She suspects that she dropped it during the fight with Simho. Suryan then tells Yu Yi-sang that the secret order given by the Heavenly Lord requires only 2 people to go, and she thinks that it should be them. He asks her where they will go, and Suryan says that she will explain it to him gradually, so she asks him not to leak any information. She tells him that they will depart for the Forbidden Demon Palace. On Mount Killian, the Black Ox unit is traveling. Jinho even complains about why they have to deal with the problem all on their own. Sawa tells him to just stop whining and asks him if he is really dissatisfied that they want to prevent the Heavenly Demon Coalition from allying with the Forbidden Demon Palace. Jinho complains that they have been searching for days but haven't found anything yet. He also cannot believe that the Jade Empress is also involved with the 10 great demons. Simho then asks if the Jade Empress is really as great as people say she is. Jinho is shocked by this statement, asking Simho if he really fought her without knowing who she was. So Guan Siok explains that the former lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition has 2 disciples under his belt, the first being Child Wang and the second being Seal Suryan. Both disciples demonstrated exceptional skill in the martial arts. Damn Child Wang, the first disciple, is ambitious. He could not satisfy his ambition by simply learning his master's martial arts. As a result, he craved more power. The man who pursued his ambition has now been elevated to the position of Lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition. On the other hand, after the disappearance of his teacher, Seal Suryan, the second disciple of the former Lord of the Heavenly Demon, became a Grandmaster. She always went into seclusion to train by herself and never showed herself to the world even once. And this Seal Suryan, who did not usually show up, was seen in the Chianal Plain. In just one battle, she wiped out their demon extermination squad. Because of that one battle, she came to be known as the Jade Empress. The captain tells everyone to be quiet because there is something up ahead. It seems to be the Severed Sky Valley, where the Forbidden Demon Palace is. Jinho could not believe that the place actually existed. Sawa points out that the lock on the gate is broken. Mei says that it doesn't appear to be broken on purpose, and to him, it looks like it wore out naturally as time passed by. The captain says that there must be an entrance to the Forbidden Demon Palace deep within the place. Sawa says that there is probably nothing they can gain from the area since the surrounding area is a canyon, and it does not appear to be safe to stay there for an extended period of time. The Black Ox unit enters to find out more. Jinho then rambles on about how it does not make sense that there are still demons in the area. He wonders how the demons can live for decades in a place where there is no sunlight, since even if they survive and leave the Forbidden Demon Palace, they will go blind or die from the sun right away. The captain then senses something and tells everyone to be quiet. He says that someone just came into the cave. It was Yu Yi-sang and Suryan who went into the cave. Yu Yi-sang starts wondering about the sheer strength of the demons. Since they have only recently been released after more than 100 years, they must be extremely powerful. Suryan suddenly comes to a stop, and Yu Yi-sang asks her if there is something in front of them. Suryan calls for them to come out of hiding, but it seems that So Guan Siok didn't give much thought to his hiding place. Suryan then asks what the Black Ox unit is doing in the cave. The captain tells her that they know that they are going to join forces with the people of the Forbidden Demon Palace, so they are going to stop them. Yu Yi-sang then wonders how the Black Ox unit was able to know their plans. Simho then shows them the note that Suryan dropped during their fight at the market. Yu Yi-sang tells her that he will fend off and fight the Black Ox unit. He vows to kill the captain and break the chain of the vexing curse. Suryan tells him to calm down and be patient, but Yu Yi-sang tells her that if they cause enough commotion, the demons will emerge on their own. Yu Yi-sang and the captain then start a duel. Yu Yi-sang and the captain start dueling it out to the death. The cave starts collapsing because of them, so the rest start to take cover. The fallen debris piles up and blocks the path. The captain and Simho are the only ones on the other side of the debris wall. The captain tells Jinho to take the other Black Ox unit members and get out of the tunnel as soon as possible. He tells him that he will take care of the situation quickly and follow them in a bit since the tunnel will collapse soon, and it is dangerous for everyone. Jinho cannot bring himself to get out of the cave, but Sawa tells him that there is nothing they can do if they stay. Yu Sang is fed up with their fight after not being able to make any progress. He tells the captain that whenever he sees his face, he feels sick, but then the captain tells him that he must not have any mirrors in his home. The captain tells him that he should be thankful that he is willing to fight him. Suryan then plans to go to the Forbidden Demon Palace on her own since her partner is busy fending off the captain, but Simho stops her. He tells her to just go back, but she says that she can't because she has something she needs to protect, just as Simho does. Without any means of avoiding him, it seems that Suryan has to kill him in order to proceed. Suryan unleashes beams of energy, but Simho is agile enough to avoid her attacks. It seems that Simho got even faster than the last time they dueled. She sees many openings and goes in for a strike. She lands one, but it seems not to be enough to bring Simho down. Simho concentrates his energy into his hand and goes in for a strike. It seems he has been able to replicate Suryan's divine jade fist just by fighting her once before. Seeing the clear threat in front of her, she unleashes more of her power. The atmosphere around them abruptly changes. She uses a new move, the illusionary palm strike, a 5-point chi attack. Simho uses the flowing cloud steps technique to avoid the attacks. Simho tries to close in on her to find an opening, but she counters with her blizzard fist. With the pure energy coming from the move, if Simho avoids it, the tunnel will collapse. Since it has come to this, Simho needs to face it head-on. The collision of power between the two creates a massive explosion. The rest of the Black Ox unit has found the exit to the tunnel. They finally get outside, but they are met by Jagal Wee, the secret Cloud Pavilion's leader. Standing behind him is the person who sold out Simho's village, Anshu-san. The commander asks the Black Ox unit where their captain is, and Sawa informs them that the captain is still inside the tunnel. She also tells him that she will bear full responsibility for their actions as long as the other unit members are not involved. Jagal Wee then asks them why they have abandoned their leader. Sawa explains that the Jade Empress, Seal Suryan from the Heavenly Demon Coalition, appeared along with Yu Sang, and they initiated a fight, so the cave collapsed and made them split apart. They are shocked to hear that Seal Suryan is inside the cave. Sawa informs them that Suryan has come for the demon, but they haven't found anything so far. Jagalwi tells them that he cannot believe they've all been swayed by some information that has not been properly confirmed yet. He tells them that they should have waited for orders. The girl beside Jagalwi suggests that they should first save Black Ox Unit Captain Ju Jinok, who is in the cave, but he instructs his army to use the siege bomb to blow up the cave. Sawa then objects to this, telling him that both their captain and Simho are still in the cave. Jagalwi seems to not care for them, saying that small sacrifices are inevitable on the battlefield. Before he could even finish his sentence, Jinno struck an arrow towards the man beside Jagalwi. He threatens to shoot the heads off anyone who takes even one more step forward. The army sees this as an act of betrayal. The commander asks them if they are really disregarding the orders of the secret Cloud Pavilion. He then tells his army that anyone who retreats will be guilty of being a rebel, and he instructs all of them to catch the traitors. Meanwhile, back in the cave, Suryan and Simho are still battling it out. She calls him a lunatic for colliding head-on in the midst of chaos. If she is not able to use the mixed origin demon chi to protect her body, then she cannot guarantee her own safety in that state. Simho is still able to stand. Suryan sees this as absurd since the mixed origin divine demon chi cannot be used until one has mastered the heavenly demon technique up to the 5th level. It is amazing to her that he was able to withstand her technique without it. Meanwhile, during the fight between the captain and Yu Sang, both seem to have met themselves at another stalemate. Both are tired of clashing swords with one another, with both of them heavily injured and buried in fallen debris. Yu Sang tells him that if they were born in different circumstances, they could have become good friends. Suryan arrives and asks Yu Sang if he is okay. He asks her one final favor, but she asks him if he is really going to ask her a favor after he messed up a task. He asks her to look after his subordinates if she successfully returns to the Chianal Plain. They have been suffering for 10 years ever since they started following him, so it would be sad if they knew that their leader was dying a meaningless death. He begs her. She sighs but eventually makes the promise. Simho comes running to his unconscious captain and tries to wake him up. The captain apologizes to Simho for not being able to protect him until the end, but Simho tells him to hold on. The captain gives Simho his final order. He entrusts the Black Ox unit to him and tells him to stay until the end to protect them and to protect everyone from the enemy attack until they all escape. He asks him to become the Black Ox unit's last shield. Simho makes this promise, but he begs the captain not to give it up so easily, and with his last breath, he thanks Simho. Simho mourns the death of his captain as the cave starts collapsing on them. Surian tells Simho that if he does not leave now, the cave will collapse, and he will be in more danger. She tells him that escaping the tunnel alive is what his captain would have probably wanted for him. Simho is visibly upset about the death of his captain, so he lashes out at her, telling her that she doesn't know what his captain would have wanted. Simho says that what he does know about his captain is that he wanted her dead. He comes dashing towards Surian, dealing a barrage of attacks. Communicating with him is impossible because his mind is already clouded by anger. She uses her technique, Mixed Origins Demon Chi. Simho's moves are becoming more unreadable and unpredictable. He is so deep in a trance that he has no concept of techniques. Surian's Mixed Origins Demon Chi can no longer withstand it. It seems that she cannot underestimate him any longer, so she unleashes all of her power in her move, Demon Subduing Palm. Meanwhile, outside, the Black Ox unit is dealing with the army. Despite only being 4 people, all of them are able to fend off an entire army of men just as easily. Jinho starts wondering when Simho and the captain will come out of the tunnel, but right after he says that, the ground starts shaking. They wonder if it was a sudden earthquake. Manny senses a tremendous amount of demonic chi. He is sure that it is the same demonic chi as the former lord of the Heavenly Demon Coalition. The Jade Empress, Surian, comes out of the tunnel. Sawa starts worrying about Simho and the captain since Surian is the first to come out of the tunnel. She goes running towards the tunnel, but Mei stops her. He tells her that it's too late and that even if they go into the Forbidden Demon Palace right then and there, the secret cloud pavilion will blow up the tunnel. Mei tells them that they need to get out immediately, so he throws a smoke bomb and calls for a retreat. They split up and agreed to meet up at a rendezvous point. Sawa gets caught by the commander. She gets thrown to the wall and gets held around her neck. The commander is going in for the kill, but he gets halted by Jaegal-hui. He tells the commander that she might be useful, so he instructs him to bring her back. The girl Jaegal is with asks him what they should do about the tunnel. He says that they cannot let anyone from the Forbidden Demon Palace out, so he instructs them to use the siege bomb to blow up the tunnel, then extinguish the fire before it can get out of control. The girl then worriedly reminds Jaegal-hui that Simho and the captain of the Black Ox are still inside the tunnel, but he does not seem to care. The commander throws the bombs inside the tunnel and blows it up. And just like that, the entrance to the Forbidden Demon Palace was gone, along with the leader of the Black Ox unit. The young man who vowed to avenge his family disappeared in the dark depths of the abyss. Left among the fragments of rocks, without even a glimmer of light to see by, he came to realize that he was unable to escape his fate. That is, until he met them. 10 years later, near Mount Silion, a boat filled with people is going through a stream. One of the boat passengers asks what the Miran people are doing on the boat. An elderly man says it's the smiling, twin-faced demons. The Holy Maiden sect seems to have boarded the boat. They ask once more why Muram's famous people are gathered on the boat. The Continental Bureau Governor, One Mayong-san, starts worrying about the unexpected invasions on their vessel. He starts worrying if they have been tailing them all that time for their artifacts. The Holy Maiden sect demands that their artifacts be handed over to them. One Mayong-san took a shortcut since his schedule was tight, but he didn't expect the turnout to be so high. He was too complacent. He then wonders how the invaders knew about them transporting the ancient Red Jade Cauldron. More people invade the boat. It is the Great Lunar Blade sect. The situation is getting more complicated for One Mayong-san to resolve. The ancient Red Jade Cauldron, as the name suggests, is a small cauldron made of red jade. The reason it was so valuable was because it has incredibly unique effects. Specifically, when using the ancient Red Jade Cauldron with specific medicinal herbs, they will concoct the Great Brahma Divine Elixir. The Great Brahma Divine Elixir is said to be capable of resurrecting the souls of the dead. One thing is certain, the person who knows the location of the ancient Red Cauldron is only one of a very select few. One Mayong-san wonders how the information got leaked. Unless the individuals had deliberately leaked the information, there is no other way so many famed martial artists could be on their vessel. He wonders if it's just his imagination or if someone actually set it up. He then asks the invaders what possible reasons they have for stealing the Central Plain Kingdom's national treasure. Nang Haiyan from the Great Lunar Blade Sect tells him that there is no need to worry about anything like that. He instructs him to just hand over the ancient red jade cauldron. Nang Haiyan's companion then tells him that there is no way he can protect the red jade ancient cauldron with his kingdom's meager power. He promises him that if he hands over the red jade ancient cauldron to them, they will protect his kingdom and its treasures from the rest. The old man then calls him out for lying, saying that he is saying utter nonsense. The lady from the Holy Maiden sect then says that it will be troublesome if the fact that they took the ancient red jade cauldron becomes known. To keep it a secret, they would have to kill everyone on board the boat. The passengers start worrying. Everyone is preparing to fight, but despite all the talk, no one has made the first move. It must be because they all know each other's skills very well. If someone were to make the first move at a time like this, it would get very troublesome. Suddenly, a pale man with blue hair comes forth. It is Yi Il-cheon, the Blood Dragon warrior, a person more famous and terrifying than anyone else on board. Even the strongest martial artists in Jianghu recognize the divine form's sacred technique. Without any reserve or hesitation, once he identifies someone as his enemy, he never lets them live. Furthermore, Yi Il-cheon belongs to the Justice Alliance. One of the men asks Yi if the Justice Alliance is interested in the Red Jade Ancient Cauldron, but he says that it has nothing to do with the Justice Alliance and that he simply has a personal interest in the artifact. The man then clarifies that no matter what happens on the vessel, the Justice Alliance will not be involved. Yi then suggests that instead of wasting all their time, they should first take the ancient red jade cauldron and then decide who owns it. After he makes that suggestion, he kills off all of the local passengers on the boat. The invaders start making a move toward attacking. One Mayong-san begs for all of them to stop since the passengers did nothing wrong. One of the invaders then targets a man drinking alcohol on the boat. He goes in for a killing strike, but the mysterious man lets off a powerful aura. Yi says that there was a hidden master on the boat all along. He asks for his name, but the man just stands there in silence. Yi then asks the man if he wants to interfere and even tells him that he will turn a blind eye if he leaves. The man just ignores Yi and turns away. Yi starts getting mad at the disrespect he is getting for being ignored. He then tells the man that he has probably learned some lowly martial arts and has yet to realize how vast the sky is. The man turns back to Yi and tells him that if he retreats now, he will spare his life. The passengers are shocked by this man's response, since Yi is such an infamous and skilled martial artist who has killed many people. Yi then challenges the man and demands that he remove his fat and show his face. All of the invaders begin to target the man. They plan to take him down together, but the man is unleashing a menacing aura. Yi is able to grab the man's hat to see his face. Yi has fallen down, defeated, and the man did not even make a move. The mysterious man is revealed to be Simho. Just looking at him can make anyone feel like their heart will burst. The girl from the Holy Maiden sect asks for the man's name. He gives the woman a menacing glare as he utters his name, Simho. The rest of the passengers seem to be unfamiliar with such a name. The woman then asks the man if his name doesn't have a title, and Simho asks her why that is relevant. She says that it means that he is just a newly emerged master. She tells him that, as a member of the Murin people, he should have known better if he had even a modicum of knowledge. He never would have killed Yi Il-cheon since he is a member of the Justice Alliance military. To make things even worse, he is a named disciple of Grandmaster Zhou Qianho, the head of the Qiangwol Pavilion. She tells him that if he had even a bit of common sense, he never would have killed him. Simho seems to be unfazed by this. The lady continues to explain that because he killed Yi, the Blue Moon Pavilion will investigate it. Zhou Qianzhou, the leader of the Blue Moon Pavilion from the Justice Alliance, will not just let someone off the hook for killing one of his disciples. If Zhou Qianzhou moves, the Justice Alliance will follow suit. If that happens, there is nowhere in the world for Simho to hide. There isn't a single person alive who can ignore the Justice Alliance's influence, but Simho says that that is the reason why he killed him. He then tells everyone that he is certain that they will all die before him. Everyone on board is intimidated by Simho's pure power and confidence. The Holy Maiden sect withdraws from trying to get the cauldron, but the other sects proceed and try to challenge Simho. They make their move, but Sim-ho suddenly disappears. He appears behind them and makes his attack. All of them drop dead instantly. The lady couldn't feel or see anything from Sim-ho. They died without knowing what happened to them. One who unleashes an unprecedented martial art never seen before. They wonder what kind of person he is to not be afraid of the Justice Alliance and to have complete control over the Mirim. In the fallen dragon port, Sim-ho gets off the boat. One Mayong-san says that his mere presence is suffocating. Given that he has such skills, they wonder if they ask around a bit, they could find someone who knows more about him. He was able to take down the likes of the great lunar blade sex So Il-seon, Master Nang Hyan, smiling twin-faced demon, and even the Justice Alliance's Yi Il-cheon. One suspects that Sim-ho will cause great upheaval in the Mirim's future. At the Great Fortune Inn, a woman working there hands Sim-ho some complimentary clothing but apologizes because there is no other color available. He pays and takes the clothes with him. A big hulking man riding a carriage arrives. Two other men are also riding inside the carriage. He steps off the carriage, and his mere presence seems to be intimidating the people around him. He opens the carriage, and two very prestigious people seem to step out. A man working at the inn immediately greets the two men who have just arrived. The old man approaches the table where the Holy Maiden sect is sitting. The old man is Heaven's mad rage, Lam Chien-hua. The lady asks him what his intentions are in the area. He condescendingly tells the lady that he had heard that several rabid dogs, including her, were after the ancient red jade cauldron. It was an artifact that was requested by his young master, so he asks her how she will take responsibility for her crimes. The man's young master is Dam Chionok, the sickly scholar, the heaven-blessed genius, with an intellect even God was envious of. Having an exceptional mind, capable of photographic memory, and a terrifying ability to understand the underlying principles of any martial art after a few glances. Truly a once-in-a-lifetime genius. However, godlike perception is also accompanied by God's wrath. Thus, he was born with a 9-yang disabling pulse. This is a disease in which the 9 vital energy channels are severed due to an excess of yang energy, resulting in death before the age of 20. The disease is akin to divine punishment, where one burns like a flame only to wither away in an instant. Once every 100 years, a person with the 9-yang disabling pulse appears. However, before they can fully demonstrate their exceptional talents, they suffer death due to the intense heat of the overwhelming yang energy, which burns out their veins. Dam Chionok, who is soon turning 20, will die within a year if he does not prepare any countermeasures to this condition. This is why the ancient red jade cauldron is of vital importance to him. The woman explains herself, saying that when they learned of the ancient red jade cauldron, there was no information relating it to the young master Dam. She says that they never would have attempted to interact with the ancient red jade cauldron. Lam Chien-hua says that she is just making excuses for her wrongdoings. She tells him that that is not the case and says that they must have been set up by someone. Master Dam then asks one Mayong-san where the red cauldron is, to which he hands it over to the young master. Suddenly, a bunch of armed men appear and demand that the red cauldron be handed over to them. Master Dam's bodyguard attempts to fend off the thieves and succeeds. He is using the demonic ghost sword, an unrelenting demonic technique that, once unleashed, cannot be retracted until blood is drawn. Despite being his disciple, Lam Chien-hua did not want him to turn out like this. He tells the lady to leave before he changes his mind about sparing her, and they leave immediately. Dam Chionok asks if the thugs who ambushed them were sent by his elder brother. The bodyguard tells him that that appears to be the case. His brother seems to be the one who is leaking information about the ancient red jade cauldron and the one sending out assassins. This is the current state of Mirim world. Most of the organizations that operate covertly are part of the Justice Alliance. More specifically, they are a part of the Secret Cloud Pavilion. Lam Chien-hua then wonders who their biggest competitor would be after Ju Jinuk was successfully eliminated. He says that Dam's brother is afraid that another competitor will be born, so as a subordinate of the Justice Alliance, they must eliminate all obstacles. It is the nature of Mirim to eliminate potential threats in advance. Dam then jokingly wonders how worse the situation will get in the future. Lam asks his young master why he is laughing, and he responds, saying that because of this, his life won't be dull. Sim-ho gets up from his chair, and Dam Chionok and the others look in his direction. They are shocked that he was still in his chair while the whole inn was swarming with assassins. Dam and Yeom didn't even notice him being there until he stood up. Sim-ho walks off with a great and intimidating aura around him. One Mayong-san tells Dam that if it weren't for Sim-ho being on their boat, the ancient red jade cauldron would have been stolen. He also tells him that Nang Hyan from the Great Lunar Blade Sect, the smiling twin-faced demons, and the blood dragon warrior Yi Il-cheon all died at the hands of Sim-ho. Dam asks for Sim-ho to stop, but he ignores him, that is, until Dam's bodyguard stops him from taking a step further. Sim-ho turns to face Dam, asking him to have a conversation together. He says that he heard that he was the one who kept the ancient red jade cauldron safe. Sim-ho tells him that he stopped the intruders not for Master Dam, but because the intruders wanted to kill him. Sim-ho attempts to walk off, calling the young Master Dam immature, but Dam's bodyguard stops Sim-ho, telling him that his conversation with the young master isn't over yet. Sim-ho is getting annoyed by what's happening to him, so he tells him to just die. Dam's bodyguard gets angry at this, but Yeom tells him to step back. The bodyguard is confused as to why his master would tell him to step back, but his master keeps telling him to step back. The bodyguard finally listens to his master's orders, and Sim-ho thanks Yeom. Yeom also thanks Sim-ho for protecting the artifact on the boat, and then asks him if he will be staying in the inn. Sim-ho says that he has rented an annex in the inn, and Yeom says that they will also be staying in the inn, but Sim-ho walks off, saying he doesn't care. The bodyguard then asks his master why he ordered him to stop. Yeom tells him that if he hadn't stepped back from Sim-ho, he would have died. Dan wonders if Sim-ho was really as powerful as people said he was, and Yeom says that there is a dangerous sense surrounding him. He says that only those who have crossed the line between life and death numerous times emit such a scent. Meanwhile, in a cave, a man bearing a sword sneaks up on someone sleeping and attempts to stab them. The person sleeping is able to wake up in time and dodge the man's attack. He kicks the man back and disarms him with his sword. Sim-ho wakes up from his sleep in the inn. He looks out the open window to see the sunrise. He says that it has been days since he left the cave in his dream, but subconsciously, his mind has yet to escape. Ever since he was abandoned on the Chianal Plain, a comfortable bed like the one he slept in doesn't suit him. Sim-ho was about to leave the inn, but a man wanted to bid him farewell before he left. The man asks him if he wants accompaniment, but Sim-ho immediately says that he does not want any. The man then asks where he is going in such a hurry, and he says that he's going back to Baekridge. At the Blue Moon Pavilion, the head, Jo Chien-ho, is in shock when hearing the news that his disciple, Yi Il-cheon, had died and asks how he had died. The man who brought the news to the head reports that they have yet to figure out how he died, but he says that based on what they have gathered so far, it seems that there was an unknown master involved. An investigation team has been dispatched, so a more detailed report will be available soon. The head is visibly enraged by this and tells the man to have the unknown master captured alive through any means so that he can personally make him experience hell. In a cave somewhere in the mountains, Sim-ho is camping out in front of a roaring fire. He notices someone spying on him behind a tree and calls them out. He tells them that he is willing to share some food with them if they're hungry. The man spying on Sim-ho comes out of hiding, and his stomach starts rumbling. Sim-ho insists that he will share his food with him. The man thanks Sim-ho as he gobbles down the chicken leg that he has received. Sim-ho then asks the man what he was doing wandering around the area. The man first introduces himself as Woo Jinha, a resident of Cheonsa village across the mountain. Getting to Cheonsa village would take an entire day's walk across the mountain from where they were. He then asks Jinha if he came there on his own, and he responds by saying that he is being pursued by the Black Tiger Fortress people. The Black Tiger Fortress kidnapped him and blackmailed his father. After eavesdropping on their conversation, it became clear to him that even after receiving the money, they had no intention of releasing him, so he took the risk and escaped last night. He warns Sim-ho that he will be put in danger if he stays around him, so he promises to leave once he's finished eating. Sim-ho expresses worry about Jinha traveling at such a late time, but he reassures him that he will find a way back somehow. Sim-ho tells him that it is fine if he rests there with him, and the morning after, he will accompany him home. Jinha becomes teary-eyed and thanks Sim-ho for his kindness. Sim Ho felt pity for him because, despite him acting all brave, he was still a child. Sim Ho knows the fear and loneliness of being in a strange, unknown place all too well. Two brutes from the Black Tiger Fortress find Jinha. Jinha is in shock that he was found so quickly. The brutes then ask Sim Ho who he is, but he gives them a warning first, telling them that he will spare their lives if they back down now. The two brutes start feeling cocky, thinking that he doesn't know anything about the Black Tiger Fortress. The two then started attacking him and Jinha. Jinha starts cowering in fear as he apologizes to Sim Ho for involving him in trouble. But as he opens his eyes, he sees that Sim Ho isn't getting hurt by the brute's attacks. The next morning comes and Woo Jinha's father is thinking about his son. He thinks about how terrified his son must be to be all alone on a mountain, surrounded by bad people. He begins to feel great remorse for his own incompetence in not being able to protect his own child. He hears his son's voice calling out his name, and he thinks he is hallucinating, but he gets hugged by his son, alive and well. He thanks Sim Ho for saving his son and for bringing him back to his home. He invites him to their home to eat since he has already prepared food. Sim Ho tells the man that he only accompanied his son because they were traveling in the same direction, but it seems that the man isn't even listening to him. The man tells them to eat and enjoy themselves, but Jinha asks his father, who is sitting at the table with them. The father tells him that he is the person from the Justice Alliance whom he had invited to save him, but he did not expect for his son to return before the master had even left. The man from the Justice Alliance then slams his glass onto the table, scolding the father for entrusting such an important task to a buffoon and telling him how lightly he must regard the Justice Alliance for inviting someone like Sim Ho. The man feels insulted by this. The father explains that that is simply not the case since Sim Ho just so happened to offer his help. He promises the man that he will still pay him the money that they had agreed on to compensate him for the trouble of coming there. He even insists that before he leaves, he takes a few days to unwind and enjoy himself. After hearing that he will still be paid, he excuses himself from the table. The father insists that the man eat before leaving since the food has already been prepared. Sim Ho then tells the father that he will eat later since he is feeling tired. Jinha tells his father that he will show Sim Ho around their home. Jinha apologizes to Sim Ho for having to hear the harsh words from the other guest they had earlier, but he reassures him that he didn't really mind the man. Jinha continues to express his gratitude to him for saving his life, but Sim Ho says that it's okay since he didn't do it for attention. While strolling out, they hear a loud cry. They turned back to see what the cause of the commotion was. The Black Tiger Fortress has invaded their home, and it seems that there are more of them than before. Their leader asks who killed his subordinates and meddles with his business. He starts destroying everything around him, calling for the person who meddled. The vice leader starts getting cocky, asking the father if he really thought he was going to be safe if he meddled with the Black Tiger Fortress plans, but the smirk quickly disappeared from his face when the man from the Justice Alliance focused his energy in the palm of his hands. He warns the Black Tiger Fortress to leave immediately if they don't want to die. The vice leader doesn't seem to have any plans of backing out or retreating, but the man from the Justice Alliance warns him about what will happen if he continues to spout nonsense. He promises him that he will kill him painlessly. The vice leader then challenges the man to determine who will accomplish such a feat between them. The two start battling each other with great power and skill. Broken debris starts flying everywhere because of the sheer strength it is displaying. The vice leader strikes the ground with great force, and a red, eerie aura emanates from his body. The man from the Justice Alliance is shocked to see that his foe is no mere bandit. The two are battling it out head-to-head. The man from the Justice Alliance is shocked by the amount of power the vice leader of the Black Tiger Fortress has. He begins to wonder how much power their leader has. The vice leader himself is even impressed by the Justice Alliance man for being able to go toe-to-toe with him in terms of power. He gets thrown back, crashing into the wall behind him. His subordinates then surround him and form a protective formation. The other subordinates come dashing towards the old man of the Justice Alliance, but he is able to dodge their attacks with ease. Sim Ho, who was observing their fight, takes notice of something. The old man of the Justice Alliance continues to take out the subordinates one by one, but he starts feeling a pain in his leg, and he almost gets hit behind the head by a sneak attack from one of the subordinates. But Sim Ho is able to stop him. The old man from the Justice Alliance is in shock that Sim-ho is able to stop one of the bandits by grabbing them by the throat. The father is also in shock, not being able to comprehend what had just happened since he couldn't see any movements at all. One of the fallen bandits tries to sneak in one more attack by throwing a sword towards Sim-ho, but he is quick enough to avoid the attack. To be able to use such a technique, the Black Tiger Fortress members must realize that Sim-ho is no ordinary threat. The vice leader orders his subordinates to go in and kill the man. They surround him, but before they can even land a hit, he vanishes. He positions himself above the men and swoops in to strike them all down. They think he is using a forbidden technique. Their men are going down one by one, so they ask their vice leader what they should do next. The vice leader himself isn't even quite sure what to do next, so he tells his men to snap out of it and not fear the man's forbidden technique. He tells them to regroup and attack together. They charge in towards Sim-ho, but he feels insulted that they would think he used a forbidden technique. His aura turns a dark purple, and his energy focuses in his arm with the demon's true style, bursting zone suppression technique, and myriad shadows. The dark purple mist coming from him brings fear to his foes. All of them are immobilized and entangled, unable to make their attack. The dark claws grab them, then go for their faces. They suck the life out of them, and all of them eventually fall to the ground. The man from the Justice Alliance is in shock, knowing that a person with such capabilities exists in Mirim. The vice leader is also in shock, not knowing what move to make next. The father clings onto his son, fearing Sim-ho's demonic display of power. The vice leader comes dashing in to take down Sim-ho. He swings his greatsword, but Sim-ho is too quick for him. He vanished into thin air, but before he could make another move, he was pierced all throughout his body by Sim-ho's power. The vice leader is brought to his knees, and the rest of the Black Tiger Fortress try to avenge their vice leader. With Sim-ho's great power, the vice leader doesn't know what to do next. In an act of desperation, he reaches for his sword, but Sim-ho's demonic arms reach and cling onto his leg. The vice leader surrenders, and Sim-ho shows him mercy, but he asks to meet the leader of the Black Tiger Fortress. The vice leader couldn't believe what Sim-ho demanded, but he says that all he wants is for them to take him to their leader. The vice leader's subordinates ask him who he is talking to, and he is confused, saying that he is talking to Sim-ho, the man who had just beaten them in the fight. The other men don't seem to hear Sim-ho speaking to them, and it is revealed that Sim-ho is communicating with the vice leader telepathically, and no one else can hear him. Sim-ho tells him again that he demands to see their leader, and he also tells him that it is not his business whether someone lives or dies. The vice leader is more than aware that he and his men are no match for Sim-ho, and any attempt to beat him would practically be suicide. He recognizes that there is no chance of winning against this man in a fight, so he needs to get out of the situation first. He agrees to his demands and promises to take him to their leader. The father asks Sim-ho if he will be leaving with the Black Tiger Fortress, and he tells the father that it is because there is something he has to ask them, something related to his past. The man from the Justice Alliance wonders if the Black Tiger Fortress could be related in any way to the monstrous powerhouse that is Sim-ho. He fears that he may have had some past relations with bandits who wear protective gear only used in the military. Just the fact that such a formidable and reclusive expert has appeared in the Mirim is already a big threat to the Justice Alliance. He recognizes that he needs to investigate this matter and report it to the Justice Alliance. The man halts for Sim-ho to stop and asks that he also go with them. He makes an excuse, saying that if he doesn't see the leader of the Black Tiger Fortress, he will live to regret it. Sim-ho tells him to do as he wishes. The Black Tiger Fortress led the way to their leader, with Sim-ho just behind them. One of the subordinates asks their vice leader if they are really going to lead Sim-ho to their leader. He fears that they couldn't even bring back the child, so if they brought back an unwanted guest, their lives would be at risk. The vice leader shuts him up, telling him that he is aware of that fact, but he explains that none of them could handle the sheer power that Sim-ho is capable of. The best move that they could make in the moment is to take Sim-ho to their leader and have them handle him. They arrive at the fortress, and the vice leader is confident that Sim-ho will finally be defeated. They arrive at the Black Tiger Fortress base. The ones that are guarding the entrance are startled when they hear someone nearby, but the vice leader reassures them that it's just them and some guests. He gets upset at the guards for not being able to recognize him while they're on guard. The vice leader tells them that he is there to meet with the leader. This leads the guards to grow suspicious as to why the vice leader would want to meet with the leader at such a late hour. But the vice leader persists, saying that he has an urgent message and that he brought a guest. The guards finally listen to the vice leader's orders and open the gate to let them in. They all walk into the base, and it is pitch black. They reach a point, and the vice leader makes a call, and Sim-Ho and the elderly man from the Justice Alliance are surrounded by members of the Black Tiger Fortress. As Sim-Ho suspected, when the vice leader was speaking with the guard from earlier, they were speaking to each other in code. A big, bulky man walks out of a dark tunnel. The name of the vice leader is apparently Mu-Gyeol. Mu-Gyeol greets the leader and informs him of the guests that they have that were looking for him. The Black Tiger Fortress leader is the bloodthirsty battle demon Go-Hyeon. He sarcastically tells the fortress members that they should show them the utmost care and hospitality. He even says that he is in disbelief that Mu-Gyeol was unable to defeat such an opponent, so he is curious as to what power this person has. Mu-Gyeol reports that Sim-Ho was responsible for their target's escape and for killing their fellow men. Sim-Ho then utters that their men hadn't died and that they would be okay by tomorrow. His intervention makes both Mu-Gyeol and Go-Hyeon irritated, making their faces turn bright red. Sim-Ho then blabbers on about the Great Demon War. As he explains, when the war was at its peak, dealing with Mirim people who have learned martial arts was not an easy task. However, when multiple soldiers who do not know martial arts work together, they can still utilize formations. And with those formidable formations, the Mirim people, no matter how skilled they are, can be subdued. Sim-Ho bringing this up seems to have the elderly man from the Justice Alliance irritated. He continues to explain that even if that is the case, even the Mirim know the fundamentals of breaking a formation. Therefore, significant changes in actual combat are difficult to achieve, even if it is a formation trained to deal with the Mirim, such as the formations used by the martial artists from the Chianal Plain. They seemed shocked when Sim-Ho mentioned Chianal Plain, since that was the location of the Great Demon War that occurred 10 years ago. Sim-Ho then calls out that the men of the Black Tiger Fortress are soldiers who deserted from the Justice Alliance. With a cold look on his face, he cannot deny that Sim-Ho's accusations are all correct. He then asks him how he found out about them and who he really is. Sim-Ho then explains that if he were a Justice Alliance soldier, he should have heard of the Justice Alliance's Special Operations Unit, the Black Ox Unit. Go-Hyeon then says that he has most definitely heard of the Black Ox Unit, of which their captain died 10 years ago and disbanded shortly after. The man from the Justice Alliance is piecing everything together. The Black Ox Unit was created by one of the disciples of the Justice Alliance leader 10 years ago. According to rumors, they were wiped out in a certain operation 10 years ago. If what Sim-Ho had said was true, he needed to inform the Justice Alliance as soon as possible. Go-Hyeon then says that he hadn't expected to meet a ghost of the past. Sim-Ho then asks him if he knows him, and Go-Hyeon goes to explain what happened 10 years ago. He was there at the Forbidden Demon Palace. After confirming that he had been there, Sim-Ho made no hesitation to start attacking, his energy focused in his palms, ready to strike. Go-Hyeon doesn't seem to be threatened or intimidated by this and calls for his men to bring it. They come in carrying a large box and put it on Go-Hyeon. It is his box of 100 soldiers. It contains over 100 weapons of various types and a mysterious hidden box. Not only swords and knives, but also spears and staves, for usage in various martial arts techniques, as well as hidden weapons. Even bows and arrows are said to be hidden in the boxes of 100 soldiers. Go-Hyeon hasn't used the box since he arrived in the area to avoid revealing his identity. If he can't kill Sim-Ho, everything he has done up until then will be in vain. Go-Hyeon asks Sim-Ho if he is prepared to die now. The rest of the Black Tiger Fortress is amped up to see their leader go head-to-head against Sim-Ho. Go-Hyeon bears a spear in his right hand and a sword in his left. The man from the Justice Alliance calls this combination unusual in Mirim. He dashes in with murderous intent and inhumane speed. It is most impressive that Go-Hyeon is able to wield both weapons with expert technique at the same time. He goes in and targets Sim-Ho's vitals with his spear, but he is quick to avoid all of his attacks. Sim-Ho's footwork techniques are formidable. He moves through the darkness like a ghost. Go-Hyeon tries to go in with attack after attack, but Sim-Ho just avoids all of his attacks with ease. After dodging all his attacks, Sim-Ho finds an opening and goes in for a strike himself. Go Hien blocks the attack with his sword, but the impact of the attack shatters the sword into shards. Sim Ho then kicks Go Hien in the stomach. Before Sim Ho could land another hit, he threw the box towards Sim Ho, but he used his Demon True style technique to obliterate the box with all its contents flying everywhere. Sim Ho's shadowy arms go in and grab all of the weapons that flew out when the box got destroyed. The weapons had backfired badly on Go Hien because now Sim Ho has the upper hand between the two. Go Hien is on his knees, unable to make another move. Sim Ho had heard of the box of 100 soldiers before. He wondered where he had heard it before, and it turns out it was from Go Hien, the 100-soldier army. The 100-soldier army's Go Hien, despite his low social status, was hired by the Justice Alliance and became well-known on the battlefield of Chianal Plain. At the Chianal Plain, where there were thousands of martial artists, he drew the Justice Alliance's attention solely through his exceptional skill. At first, he was thought to be just another commoner within the Justice Alliance, but his display of techniques drew their attention. Go Hien, who wielded 100 different types of weapons like his own limbs and dominated the battlefield, had rumors that even the Heavenly Demon Coalition, the Justice Alliance's enemy, held him in high regard. The man from the Justice Alliance had also heard of this story before. It was the story of a lone warrior who took part in the Great Demon War 10 years ago. He had heard that that warrior deserted Chianal Plain 10 years ago. Chapter 28. After all the backstory and blabbering, the two continue the fight going on between them. Go Hien makes the first move, dashing in with a new sword in hand. Sim Ho is able to block the attack with his bare fist, with demonic power coursing through his veins. The sheer speed and power Sim Ho had with no weapons on hand other than his bare fists was impressive. After exchanging and dodging each other's attacks, Sim Ho is able to land a hit, smashing Go Hien into the ground. Go Hien is still able to get up and fight. He grabs a crossbow and aims it at Sim Ho, but all these attempts are futile. Sim Ho is simply overpowered. He punches Go Hien in the chest, and he goes flying in the air from the impact of the attack. Sim Ho demands that they stop the fight, but from the dust where Go Hien landed, a chain appears, wrapping around Sim Ho's arm. Go Hien is still standing and fighting. Go Hien goes in to attack Sim Ho with his blade now that he is unable to dodge the attack. Sim Ho blocks the attack with his arm, grabs the chain, and throws Go Hien. He is able to land on his feet and get a hold of his weapon. Go Hien is getting fed up with the fight since all of his tactics and attacks are ineffective. Sim Ho uses another technique, the solo suppression technique. With a bloodthirsty look in his eyes, he swoops in and stabs Go Hien in the head. On that day, Go Hien realized that the world was much broader than he thought. Go Hien crashes to the ground. Some foes are beyond comparison, like the existence of an overwhelming master. Go Hien even questions if Sim Ho is a human or a ghost. Their leader is down, and the rest of the Black Tiger Fortress members go in and attack Sim Ho after being ordered by their vice leader, but their leader halts them, admitting defeat. Mo-Gyeol is in disbelief that even their fortress leader is unable to defeat Sim Ho. He wonders how Sim Ho has achieved such power. Go Hien and Mo-Gyeol kneel in front of Sim Ho. He asks Go Hien questions about what happened 10 years ago at the Forbidden Demon Palace. He asked what had happened after his unit emerged from the cave. Go Hien is hesitant but eventually admits that he cannot spend his entire life running away from the truth. He explains that the night following the Mount Silian explosion, Jaegil-wee sent their unit on another mission to kill them all. The man from the Justice Alliance accuses them of lying, saying that the Justice Alliance wouldn't do anything like that. Sim Ho then asks them why Jaegil-wee attacked their unit, and Go Hien explains that the intention was to silence them. They were trying to bury Ju Jin-ok, the leader of the Black Ox unit, as well as his unit member, Sim Ho, while they were still possibly alive in the tunnel. If the public were to find out the Justice Alliance did such things, they would face severe condemnation, so to Jaegil-wee, they were just hunting dogs he could discard whenever. He didn't want to create unnecessary complications. Go Hien managed to escape with some of his men. He knew that he would be chased for the rest of his life, but it was better than immediately dying a dog's death. However, following that, he received some strange news. After the incident at the Forbidden Demon Palace, the two forces made some secret agreements. The Justice Alliance and Heavenly Demon Coalition ended the Great Demon War as if it were just a lie. This news shocks Sim Ho that the Great Demon War would just suddenly come to an end despite their intense hatred and desire to kill each other. Sim Ho then points out that if the war had really ended, as Go Hyan had mentioned, there would have been no reason for him and his men to hide, so he asks him why he is still hiding and operating the Black Tiger Bandit Fortress. Go Hyan explains that they are still being hunted down by the Justice Alliance. Despite the fact that the war was over, the hunt for them had intensified. At times, the soldiers of the Justice Alliance and the Heavenly Demon Coalition fought together. They fought off the pursuers with all their might and made it to where they reside now because they wanted to live, and there was nowhere else in the world where they could exist except for that place. Sim Ho then asks him what happened to the other Black Ox members, but Go Hyan says that he has no clue where they are or what has happened to them. Sim Ho ended up with no leads after all. Go Hyan then asks Sim Ho what he is going to do next, and Sim Ho proposes an idea. At the Wu family residence, the father and his son are in fear and shock that the leader of the Black Tiger Fortress and his men are standing in front of them with a menacing aura around them. Go Hyan stands in front of them, apologizing and asking forgiveness for all the inconvenience that they had caused. Sim Ho tells them that the Black Tiger Fortress has agreed to no longer pose a threat to the Wu family, but he asks for the Wu family to provide the Black Tiger Fortress with enough food to last the winter. The father agrees to this. As long as Cheonsa village can achieve peace, he will lend his full support. Sim Ho asks to handle the matter discreetly and requests that when the food is prepared, a fire will be lit at the foot of the mountain, and the Black Tiger Fortress will come and pick it up. Go Hyan now considers Patriarch Wu one of them and vows to protect them from anyone who dares pester them. The man from the Justice Alliance then chimes in, questioning what they are doing. Using his telekinetic powers, Sim Ho tells him that he is free to inform the Justice Alliance about him and what he has done about the Black Tiger Fortress, but he threatens him if he messes with them. Go Hyan expresses his gratitude towards Sim Ho. He admits that at first glance, he knew that he just wanted to go to the Justice Alliance area, so he tells him that to get to the Justice Alliance area, he must cross the border between the Heavenly Demon Coalition and the Justice Alliance. Despite the fact that the Great Demon War has ended and the restricted border has been lifted, crossing the border as an unknown person is still extremely dangerous. He tells him that he must pass through a place called the Ant Cave. He tells him that Mu Giol will lead him there since he is from Ant Cave. Mo Giol then objects to accompanying Sim Ho, going so far as to call him a clueless fool, but he then threatens Mu Giol. Go Hyan asks Sim Ho to look after Mo Giol during their journey, and he expresses more of his gratitude. The father then approaches Sim Ho and expresses his own gratitude, thanking him for saving his son and resolving the issue between him and the Black Tiger Fortress. He asks him how he could repay the favor, but Sim Ho tells him that it is fine and that he is just relieved that everything has been resolved. Sim Ho is about to leave, but he is halted by Jinha. He asks him if he is really leaving, and he tells him that he must leave because there are people waiting for him. He tells Jinha that if he wants to meet him, he can come find him in Bakeridge once the Wu family territory has been stabilized. Jinha seems to be unfamiliar with this Bakeridge place and asks Sim Ho if there is such a place, with Sim Ho telling him that they will soon know about it. At the Justice Alliance, the leader of the Justice Alliance, Mun Jung-san, receives a message from a messenger dove. It entails details regarding the start of the Wall of Despair operation. An elderly man informs the Alliance leader that he had heard that the young master has secured the ancient Red Jade Cauldron and is on his way back, but on his way back, he was intercepted by assassins. He also informs him that the surveillance of the young master is getting worse day by day, so he asks if they should perhaps restrain them. Mun Jung-san says to let it be since, to become a disciple of Mun Jung-san, he has to be able to overcome such things. He asks the man if there is anything else to be reported. The man reports that Yi Il-chien, a named disciple of Blue Moon, Pavilion head Zhou Chien-ho, was killed when he tried to steal the ancient Red Jade Cauldron. Mun Jung-san suspects that it is highly unlikely that Yao No will be the one to kill him and asks if there is anyone else who is possibly responsible for this. The man reports that it is still under investigation. However, according to witnesses, Yi Il-chien was killed in a single strike. This news shocks Mun Jung-san since he recalls Yi Il-chien as a highly valued disciple of the Blue Moon Pavilion. He is curious as to who this new foe is. Meanwhile, At the Castle of Blood and Tears, Jaegilwee arrives and basks in the size and glory of his new castle. His female companion then comments that if the Alliance leader discovered that he was secretly constructing a castle, he would be in big trouble. But Jaegilwee reassures her that he won't know about the castle since he hasn't come to the place in the past 16 years and hasn't shown any interest in the castle for the past few years. The gates of the castle open, and the residents greet the man who had just arrived, the pavilion head. The head gets off his horse, and a man comes running towards him to greet him. The man is the Baekrijju village chief, Un-Elip. His son is serving as the leader of the Cloud Sword unit in the Justice Alliance. 10 years ago, there was a man named Un-Chuzin who reported about the Forbidden Demon Palace. Un-Elip says that it is an honor to finally meet the pavilion head. Jaegilwee compliments him and tells him that if he keeps working as hard as he is now, he promises him a prosperous and honorable life. Un-Elip is brought to tears after hearing this, but from the looks of the people around him, it is clear that his reputation isn't as good as one might think. In the crowd of people, a woman walks through and makes a commotion. She asks Jaegilwee if he is the secret Cloud Pavilion head. This woman is Sim Hyun, Simho's sister. The guards tell her to stand back, but she continues her outburst, saying that for the past 16 years, in order to meet him, she has been there and helped build the castle. She demands to know where her brother is, but Jaegilwee says that he has no idea where her brother is. She calls him out again, reminding him that 16 years ago, he took away his brother and killed his father, but Jaegilwee just says that he has no idea what she is talking about. Hyun is able to pass through the guards holding her back. She clings onto Jaegil's clothing and recalls how he promised to return her brother once the castle was finished. Un-Elip slaps her across the face, calling her crazy for laying her dirty hands on the pavilion head. He calls for the guards to take her away. In a fit of rage, she hopes that all of them will be cursed since many people got injured and even died while the castle was being built. Jaegil's companion then remembers how he took the village chief's son as a hostage 16 years ago. It all happened when they were in Baekrijju. Jaegilwee finally recalls this but doesn't seem to care about the matter, saying that it is natural for the weak to be trampled on. He instructs her that he doesn't want to see pests like Hyun before. His companion is appalled at the fact that he has already forgotten the despicable act he committed 16 years ago. While Hyun was being taken away, Un-Elip told her that she needed to be in their good graces, but she could not bring herself to do so. So many villagers died because of Jaegilwee, so she cannot simply bow and scrape for them with a smile to hear news about her brother. She calls out her uncle for living in servitude for his own safety. He gives up trying to reason with her and leaves. Hyun vows to never forgive the people who took away her brother and brought torture and injustice to her people. At the Heavenly Demon Coalition, the Jade Empress, Seal Su Ryan, arrives and greets her elder brother, the Heavenly Lord, Dam Chil Hwang. He asks her sister to sit so they can converse. Su Ryan has achieved a lot in the past 10 years of her secluded training. After the Great Demon War was over, she immediately isolated herself in the chamber. Dam Chil Hwang even expresses how worried he was after this, but Su Ryan then asks if he wasn't disappointed that she came back alive. He laughs this off and says that she must still be upset about what happened 10 years ago. Annoyed, Su Ryan goes straight to the point and asks her brother why she was being summoned. He informs her that there have been some suspicious movements from the Justice Alliance recently, and they need someone to go investigate what happened. Su Ryan then calls out her brother, since she had thought that he was someone who wouldn't resort to identical tactics from the past. She tells him that he is sunk to an all-new low. He asks her to listen to him first before jumping to any conclusions. He tells her that they recently learned of a major disturbance near Mount Silian. Just hearing the name Mount Silian brings a sour look to Su Ryan's face. He mentions the Black Ox unit. Just mentioning their name conjures up images of the bloody Great Demon War. They were a constant thorn in the side of the Heavenly Demon Coalition. Following the battle that day, Su Ryan immediately went out in search of every one of them. According to the report, at the Forbidden Demon Palace on that day, Yu-hee Sang, Sect Master of the Iron Sword Sect, engaged in a fierce battle with Ju Jinuk, leader of the Black Ox unit. Then Jaegilwee arrived with other Justice Alliance soldiers to destroy the entrance of the Forbidden Demon Palace and attempt to arrest Ju Jinuk's subordinates. Members of the Black Ox unit fled and dispersed in all directions. However, There was one person who stayed behind and fought against Su Ryan. He has yet to hear any reports concerning his whereabouts. Dam Cheol Wang is sure that Simho is the person his sister is looking for. He informs her that near Mount Silian, close to the Forbidden Demon Palace, there is a report of a great master appearing. He tells her that the Justice Alliance warriors had gathered near there to steal something when the unknown master appeared, subdued everyone, and then disappeared. Most importantly, Mount Silian is located within the Heavenly Demon Coalition's territory. There is a bothered look on Su Ryan's face after hearing all this information. He then informs her about this unknown person's current whereabouts. He tells her that, following the river, he arrived at the Fallen Dragon Port and headed to the Ant Cave in Shenyang. Without another word, Su Ryan gets up and leaves immediately. Meanwhile, the three-brained sage, Yam Chianil, Dam Cheol Wang's advisor, pours him some tea and tells him that, compared to his sister, he hasn't made much progress himself. He just laughs this off, saying that it isn't possible to achieve everything with just martial arts. He even points out that his sister hasn't even started her own faction yet. He instructs him to keep an eye on his sister, since the unknown master will undoubtedly appear if she is near. Su Ryan reminisces about her brawl with Simho 10 years ago. She remembers clearly how he had been crushed in the depths of the Forbidden Demon Palace, but she believes that he is still alive somewhere out there. Meanwhile, Simho and Mu Geol are camping out in the woods. Mu Geol tries to start a conversation between them, saying that even though his leader asked him to be his guide and treat him well, he still won't acknowledge Simho. But Simho retaliates, saying that those words are only meant to be said by the winner. This gets Mu Geol annoyed and makes him ramble on, telling Simho that if it weren't for the forbidden technique, he could have beaten him with just his finger. Simho ignores and tunes out his rambling and thinks about what has happened after the 16 long years. He can finally go home, but instead of being happy, he is scared. He wonders if his family is even still alive. Suddenly, a dagger is thrown at them, almost hitting Mu Geol. He looks around to find out who threw the dagger at him. It is the man from the Justice Alliance, and he has brought reinforcement. He points to Simho and tells the pavilion leader that he is the one who subdued the Black Tiger Fortress that attacked the Wu family patriarchy. Mu Geol calls out the old man for ratting them out to the Justice Alliance, but he just says that it is because they are traitors who defected from the Justice Alliance. Simho just seems unbothered by this entire exchange. The pavilion head then asks Simho if he is the one who murdered his disciple and stole the ancient red jade cauldron. The pavilion head asks Simho once again if he is the one who killed his disciple, and Simho responds by saying that he has never killed needlessly. The pavilion head cannot accept such an answer, so he draws out his sword and begins attacking. He seemingly decapitates him, and he puts his sword back into his scabbard, thinking the deed is done, but Simho appears out of nowhere and attacks. The pavilion head was quick enough to block his attack with his sword, but it definitely took him by surprise. He finally introduces himself to Simho as Zhou Qianho, head of the Blue Moon Pavilion of the Justice Alliance. He threatens Simho with his army, but he retaliates, pointing out how he talks too much, just like his fallen disciple. Simho focuses his demonic energy back into his arms. Just the mere sight of this energy baffles Zhou Qianho, as he wonders what kind of skill he is using. He orders his men to go in and kill Simho. They are hesitant to attack, but they have no choice but to follow their master's orders. They all attack in unison, but Simho is able to stop them without even taking another step. The dark energy seeps into the ground, and demonic arms come to grab the soldiers. Zhou Qianho cuts through the arms holding his men and finds an opening to strike. However, he attacks one of his men as a sacrifice. Simho calls him out for this, for sacrificing his own men to create an opening, but he doesn't seem to care. Simho is stabbed through the chest, a clean hit. But it was actually just a decoy. The real Simho was standing by the side. Zhou Qianho is confused. He was most certain that his sword pierced through and killed him, but it was all an illusion. The dark energy consumes him, and he gets immobilized by these demonic arms. The man from the Justice Alliance is in disbelief that even the Blue Moon Pavilion, an elite warrior of the Justice Alliance, would be defeated by Simho. Zhou Qianho begs for Simho to stop, as he is getting tortured by his technique. He threatens that if he continues, the entire Justice Alliance will turn against him, but Sim Ho simply doesn't have a care in the world for that. The grip of the demonic arm grows tighter, squeezing and suffocating Chien Ho. His face turned red, and his eyes turned teary. He finally loses consciousness, and Sim Ho finally lets him go. His body crashed into the ground, not making another move. The man from the Justice Alliance shakes in fear seeing such a strong lit head fall dead to such a monstrous foe. He flees in fear, not looking back. Mu Gyeol asks Sim Ho if they should catch him, but he just says to let him go. Mo Gyeol then expresses worry about the man spreading the news and the repercussions of the entire Justice Alliance coming after them if they know who is responsible for killing Chien Ho. Sim Ho just says to let the Justice Alliance come, since it will save him time looking for them one by one. Not a slither of fear or worry can be seen in this man's face. Mo Gyeol still worries, pointing out the sheer number of soldiers that would be after them, but Sim Ho still maintains a calm demeanor, not worrying about it. To Sim Ho, far beyond this, tragic events are simply waiting to unfold. Sim Ho and Mu Gyeol continue on their journey. The journey grows silent until Sim Ho asks Mo Gyeol if he is not going to talk for the rest of the journey. Mo Gyeol then lashes out madly at Sim Ho, telling him how all of them are going to get targeted and die because of him. He says that the old man from the Justice Alliance who escaped from them will bring numerous strong warriors to pursue them. He thinks about the members of the Black Tiger Fortress. He wishes they never crossed paths with Sim Ho, because to him, their lives would have been more peaceful. But then Sim Ho points out that if it were not for him, the Black Tiger Fortress would have starved to death. Mo Gyeol then takes offense to this, but Sim Ho then points out that the Black Tiger Fortress abducts women and children as well as sells them for profit. Sim Ho asks him if this is true, but Mo Gyeol quickly calls these claims complete lies. He begins lecturing Sim Ho, telling him that there is a concept of honor even among bandits. He claims that the Black Tiger Fortress has never done anything against their own principles, including killing innocent people. Sim Ho then questions these principles since they did kidnap someone's son for food, but he keeps this thought to himself to avoid any further conflict. They start talking about the Great Demon War that happened 10 years ago. As Mu Gyeol explains, those who lost their parents or loved ones after the long Great Demon War are few and far between. As the world approaches its twilight, despite the fact that it has been more than a decade since the war was over, those who have lived through it will never be free of the aftermath. Sim Ho then says that the Justice Alliance and the Heavenly Demon Coalition were dissatisfied because they could not devour each other, so it is difficult to readily accept the notion of an immediate ceasefire. He asks him if there is anyone who knows how the truce between the Justice Alliance and the Great Demon Coalition happened. Mu Gyeol says that it is tiresome to explain everything in detail, but he goes on to explain that according to rumors, the Justice Alliance leader and the Heavenly Demon Coalition Lord met and negotiated. There are also rumors that the Justice Alliance offered a truce first because they were at a disadvantage in the war, so they weren't all that confident, which is actually true. Sim Ho just cannot believe that the Great Demon War, which lasted decades, would just end like that without any clear reason. Mo Gyeol then adds one more thing. It is most definitely certain that the peace will not last for long since both factions rapidly strengthened their forces during the ceasefire. It is only a matter of time before the Great Demon War recurs. They reach the edge of a cliff and Sunyang is nearby. Mo Gyeon points in the direction of the Ant Cave, which they will pass through to get to Xunyang. After the conclusion of the Great Demon War, at an old battlefield in the northern region known as Xunyang, a slum area was created and populated due to the influx of refugees. Originally, it was an underground city built during the Great Demon War, with a large mountain range tunneled through to avoid armed pursuers. As time passed, criminals who lived in the slum turned it into a stronghold and began to take control of the Ant Cave, the underground city. The place began to be used as a smuggling hub and a location for storing wealth. Most importantly, the Ant Cave is the only way to freely navigate between the heavily guarded territories of the Heavenly Demon Coalition and the Justice Alliance. Sim Ho and Mu Gyeon arrive at the Xunyang slums. Sim Ho asks if they really need to pass through there to get to Baekridge. Mu Gyeon tells him that unless he can kill all the Heavenly Demon Coalition guards at the border, the route they're taking is the quicker route. If they go through the Ant Cave, they will arrive in Baekridge in 5 days. They find an inn, and Mu Gyeon suggests they check in. Sim-ho is confused since the sun is still high in the sky. Mo Gyeon explains that they will not be staying at the inn. Rather, they will first obtain permission from the queen to pass through the ant cave. They walk in, and many men are eating their meals, minding their own business. Some of the men take notice of Mu Jaeon's blabbering. Some even take a few shots at them. They sit at a table and order food. Sim-ho tells him that they should hurry, but Mu Jaeon tells him not to be so impatient and that he needs to take a moment to relax. Sim-ho asks who exactly this queen is. Mu Jaeon tells Sim-ho not to be so impatient. Since the moment they entered the place, he was sure that everyone already understood. Their table gets surrounded by the men inside the inn. Mu Gyeon found out that Sim-ho could not use his technique during the day. Knowing this, he vows to make him pay 100-fold. At the Heavenly Demon Coalition Sumyang branch, the branch manager, Gyo Suchin, is having a meeting with his associates. One of his men reports that he has meticulously mapped out Ant Cave's maze, like structure in complete secrecy. Gyo asks if he has figured out her whereabouts. One of the men responds that they have made all preparations to ensure that she cannot escape. If they let her escape again, the ridiculous game of hide and seek will go on forever. This could be their last chance, so Gyo reminds his men to make sure to firmly convey that to their subordinates. They will proceed with their operations as planned that day. Sunyang is a vital forward base for the Heavenly Demon Coalition. However, those scavengers in Ant Cave are eroding Sunyang from within by smuggling with the Justice Alliance. So after they succeed with their plans, they will restore order in Sunyang. One of Gyo's other subordinates reports that there is a major issue halting their plans. He tells him that he should go outside so he can see it for himself. He steps out to see what all the fuss is about. Apparently, a mysterious person is asking to meet with him, as the guards have reported. They tell him that the person appeared out of nowhere and demanded to meet with the branch manager. She throws a scroll containing the Heavenly Lord's seal. Gyo immediately apologizes, explaining that he hadn't recognized who she was. The person standing before them was none other than the Jade Empress, Su Ryan. He asked her what she was doing visiting their branch. She informs him that she was there to carry out an order from the Heavenly Lord. She informs them that the person who recently caused a commotion near Mount Silian has made his way to their location. She then asks Gyo if he has heard anything of the sort recently. Gyo apologizes, explaining that they have recently focused all their intelligence on Ant Cave for a major operation, so they haven't heard any news other than what's in Sunyang. Su Ryan asks more about this special operation that they are working on. Gyo explains to her that it is regarding some worthless scoundrels in Ant Cave belonging to the Justice Alliance who have been causing trouble. They have been conducting operations to suppress large-scale smuggling, and that day was supposedly the day of the operation. Su Ryan asks them if it is true that one can enter Justice Alliance territory quietly by passing through the Ant Cave. Gyo tells her that she is indeed correct and that they have experts who specialize in navigating the Ant Cave. However, on that day, all of their personnel are being deployed for suppression operations, so going to the Justice Alliance territory right then and there would be difficult. Su Ryan then asks if the operation ends quickly, if she can immediately go to Justice Alliance territory. If so, she is willing to lend Gyo a hand in the operation. Everyone gets excited by hearing this offer by the Jade Empress that she herself will aid them in their operation. Meanwhile, at the inn with Mu Gyeon and Sim-ho, they are being surrounded by the residents of the inn. Mu Jaeon starts acting smug, thinking he has the upper hand between him and Sim-ho. One of the men surrounding them, Kwak Hong-cha, calls out Mu Jaeon's name and then grabs him by the throat. They start acting violently towards Mu Jaeon, telling him that the queen is looking for him. Mu Jaeon doesn't stand for this, so he calls for Sim-ho to help him beat everyone in the inn. But then Sim-ho points out that it was Mu Jaeon who started all of the commotion, so he insists that Mu Jaeon should go by himself. One of the men surrounding them informs Sim-ho that he will also be seeing the queen. Sim-ho starts getting annoyed, and he tells the men that he doesn't care if the queen or anyone else is looking for him, since all he wants is to go to the Justice Alliance territory as soon as possible. His demonic aura starts leaking. Just the raw energy coming from Sim-ho is enough to intimidate them. Even Mu Jaeon starts unleashing his own power. He reminds all of the people around them that he is Jimu Gyeol, the demon of 100 shadows. They start growing worried now that they know who one of their opponents is. Kwak Hong-che reminds them that they are only going against 2 opponents. They have the major advantage in terms of numbers. He calls for an attack, but before any blood can be spilled yet, a woman's voice calls for them to stop. Standing there, between her two bodyguards, is a lady with gray hair and a veil covering half of her face, the queen, Yeon Hae-sang. Moo Gyeol and Sim Ho meet with the queen in her private room. She greets Moo Gyeol, telling him that it has been a while and that she did not expect to see his face again. She asks him what his business is at their place. She assumes that he is there to sell some worthless junk again. Moo Gyeol starts acting strangely and tries to avoid eye contact with the queen. She then lashes out at him, telling him that the Heavenly Demon Coalition launched an attack after Moo Gyeol had left. Moo Gyeol then retaliates, saying that it isn't his fault that the Heavenly Demon Coalition launched an attack. Sim Ho, who is witnessing this whole ordeal, wonders if the petite lady is really the queen of the ant cave. Their whole ordeal starts to die down, but the queen tells him that they cannot enter the Justice Alliance territory via the ant cave because she has no plans on giving them permission. The situation becomes heated again when Moo Gyeol begrudgingly asks the queen if she is still sulking over such a trivial matter. The queen is then triggered to hear this, for Moo Gyeol to call setting a wedding date and then running away something trivial. This angers her greatly. Even Sim Ho is shocked to hear this. Moo Gyeol tries to explain himself. He says that he did not have any intention of getting married and that she just did as she pleased. Yeon Hae-sang then tells him that he is the problem. She tells him that he should be grateful that she chose him to be her groom. But then Moo Gyeol tells her that a kid like her is not his type. Her face starts to turn red and her eyes become teary. Moo Gyeol starts feeling guilty and the queen's guards start talking badly of him. The queen walks away and tells him that she doesn't want to see him any longer. She shuts them out and tells them not to even think about coming back to the ant cave. Yeon Hae-sang, the queen of the ant cave, is the Blood Lord. It was a term coined in regards to the ant nest, a metaphorical expression. Her father was a high-ranking and renowned figure from the previous Sunyang expedition. He was a nobleman who helped the poor and extended a helping hand to those in need. However, when the Great Demon War erupted, even Sunyang could not escape the turmoil of war. Suspicious of an undercover Justice Alliance agent hiding among the refugees that were flocking to Xunyang, the Heavenly Demon Coalition stormed the refugee village, killing Yan Ju-chul and massacring the refugees. The survivors, including Yeon Hae-sang, continued her father's ideals and dug deeper into the burrow for their own survival. Thus, Ant Cave and the Queen were born. Even at such a young age, despite the loss of her parents and her small stature, she takes responsibility and becomes the Blood Lord. She is like a younger sister to Moo Gyeol. That's why he didn't want to marry her. He's known her since she was in diapers, so he can't really see her as a woman. Sim Ho tells him to solve both of his problems quietly and that he should not have acted like he did previously if he really cared about her. While they were having their conversation on the balcony, the queen arrived to give them food. She even asks them if they can eat together. She apologized to them earlier, saying that she got carried away and that she didn't even have time to properly greet them. She introduces herself to Sim Ho and asks him if he is Moo Gyeol's elder brother. Moo Gyeol seems to take offense to the queen, assuming that Sim Ho would be his elder brother. She then starts subtly insulting him, saying that he will never be able to measure up to Sim Ho in his entire life. She asks Sim Ho if she can ask him a question. She asks if, by any chance, he is being chased by the Heavenly Demon Coalition, and Sim Ho responds, saying that no such thing has happened. This relieves Yeon Hae-sang, since accepting someone who is being pursued by the Heavenly Demon Coalition is difficult for her. Sim Ho then asks why so, since, as far as he is aware, the Ant Cave is not restricted to Xunyang. Passing through the Justice Alliance and Heavenly Demon Coalition, it is an organization that has taken control of the smuggling trade everywhere. The queen explains that in order to walk the tightrope between the two opposing factions for a long time, they must avoid doing anything that can draw their attention. He asks her if it will be no problem for him to go to Justice Alliance territory, and she responds that it depends on what she receives in return. After thinking, he offers Moo Gyeol. They take him away, and the queen seems excited. Sim Ho says that he is only lending him for the night. Meanwhile, some guards are being ambushed and attacked by a mysterious person. The moon is blood red, and more people are getting killed. It is revealed that these people are from the Xunyang branch, and they are beginning their plans. The queen and Mum Jeol are spending the night together. Both of them seem to be intoxicated from the alcohol. Mu Geol asks the queen what qualities of his make her like him. The queen asks him the same question. He explains that they grew up together, and he grew up seeing her crawl around in diapers, so he can't bring himself to see her as a woman. The queen then tells him that when they were children, he told her that when they grew up, he would marry her. Mu Geol tells her that he said that when they were still young, so it doesn't count. They start some light arguing with each other, and they get even more intoxicated. The queen then changes the topic of conversation, asking what kind of person Sim-ho is. She shows an interest in him, calling him very handsome. Hearing this makes Mu Geol spit out the alcohol he was drinking. He asks her if she genuinely has an interest in him. She says that Sim-ho is far more attractive than Mu Geol. This upsets him, saying that anyone else is fine besides him. He tells her that he is a monster and his power is on a whole other level. He tells her that Sim-ho is so strong that he was able to easily subdue leader Go-hyeon in an instant. He uses a bizarre technique that can suck other people's souls out. They would pass out without even knowing what hit them. After hearing this, the queen becomes even more entranced and impressed by Sim-ho. While having their conversation, an explosion sets off outside. Someone reports to the queen, saying that there is a major problem. He reports that the Heavenly Demon Coalition made a surprise attack. Furthermore, Jeo Suchin is personally leading Vanguard. She then asks about what happened to the Northern Guards, and the man reports that they have been silently eliminated. The sheer number of people coming shows that they came with a plan. Mu Geol steps in and offers his help, but the queen tells him that they should leave because if it is discovered that someone from the Justice Alliance is present, things will only get more complicated. She reassures him that she will take care of the situation. The homes are being burned to the ground, and the people are being mercilessly killed by the Great Demon Coalition. The Jade Empress, Surian, arrives, and one of the men being killed clings onto her ankle and begs for help, but he immediately gets killed. Gyo tells her that she shouldn't feel any sympathy for the people they are killing since they are all spies for the Justice Alliance. Su Ryan then says that if the people they are killing are truly spies for the Justice Alliance, why would they bring their own children to a battlefield where life and death are on the line? She then says that she will only help deal with those who resist. Gyo parted ways with Su Ryan so he could head towards the enemy's leader. Although a decade has passed since the end of the Great Demon War, she still cannot escape from the smell of blood and the never-ending cycle of slaughter. The Great Demon Coalition continues to slaughter the innocent. One of the men tries to escape with his 2 children, but he trips on a rock. He begs for the coalition troops to spare his children's lives. Fortunately, before he or his children could get hurt, he was saved by Sim-ho. Mu Geol catches up, and Sim-ho asks him where the queen is. He tells Sim-ho that he doesn't know, that Ant Cave has become more dangerous, and that the queen and her men will deal with it themselves. Sim-ho tells him to first secure an escape route and rescue the people, since that is the best that they can do. The fire was not simply lit. Oil and sulfur were used to make it spread even further. There is no doubt that the attack has been planned for some time. Mu Geol digs around through the fallen debris, looking for something. He finds a hidden passage that can assist people in escaping. Hongcha, Mu Geol's old friend, comes from the fiery fallen debris. He asks him if he's okay, but he falls to his knees, weakened by the fire and the enemy's attack. Hongcha can't relay his words clearly, so Mu Geol tells him to snap out of it, calm down, and speak slowly. He asks him one more time who is responsible for the ambush attack. He tells him that it was Gyo Sushin, the Sunyang branch manager. Mu Geol tells Hongche that he needs to get treatment immediately, but he reassures him that he is fine, that protecting the Blood Lord is more important, and that Gyo is on his way to the Blood Lord right as they speak. Mu Geol asks Sim-ho to protect the place, but he insists that he go with him. He tells Sim-ho that he can't because the place has active spies from the Justice Alliance. If it is revealed that a person being pursued by the Justice Alliance has appeared in the Ant Cave, the place will truly crumble into thin air. Sim-ho asks him one more time if he will truly be okay going alone, to which he says it is something he needs to solve by himself. The queen arrives to see the sea of dead men who were slaughtered by the Great Demon Coalition. One of the injured men reports to the queen that they need to get out of the area, if it wasn't obvious enough, but the queen tells him and her men that this is their home, and they need to stay and hold on until everyone escapes, but he tells her that if she, the Blood Lord, stays there, it will be even more dangerous. Right as he says that he gets killed by the enemy. It is Gyo, and he has found the queen. The queen's guards are ready to protect her, but Gyo easily cuts through them like it was nothing. The queen is left alone to fend off Gyo all by herself. All of her men have been killed in just a blink of an eye. Gyo starts taunting her, asking her if she's scared. He even tells her that the ant cave she was so proud of will become her grave. She asks him if they are going to kill everyone in her land, even though they have nothing to do with the Justice Alliance, and Gyo tells her to speak all she wants, because by tonight, all the wretched scoundrels of the Justice Alliance will be incinerated. The queen strikes Gyo with her blade, splitting him in half, but it was all an afterimage, tricking her. The real Gyo appears behind her, and she tries to retaliate with an attack, but Gyo is able to grab onto her blade with his own hands. With his other hand, he focuses his demonic energy and tries to claw at her face. She is able to dodge, and she attempts to reposition herself. He seems to be using the 100 poison blood palm technique. Gyo even asks the queen if she is aware of the technique that he is using. He tells her that he thought she was only a dumb girl who knew about smuggling. While the Great Demon War was still in full swing, children and adults were both ruthlessly massacred by the 100 poison blood palm technique. There is no one in Shenyang who doesn't know about the technique. He unleashes an attack, and the sheer impact seems to overwhelm the queen. Gyo taunts her, telling her that she is struggling against such a simple attack, yet she wants to compete with him and his blood technique. He starts getting serious and attacks to end the fight, but the queen stands her ground and unleashes her own power. They are going toe-to-toe until Gyo is able to block her attack and grab her sword. With the power coming from his palm, he melts her sword. He calls her attack adorable and continues to taunt her. She recognizes that his power is something she cannot handle. The 100 poison blood palm is a form of martial arts that involves injecting the hands with 100 different highly poisonous substances. The technique is so hard to learn that very few people, even in the Heavenly Demon Coalition, are able to use it. Only with the determination to kill all the worthless members of the Justice Alliance has Gyo successfully learned this extremely wicked martial art. The poison from the attack has started spreading throughout her body, and she begins coughing blood. He goes in for the killing blow to end the fight, but his attack gets blocked by Gyo. We really hope that you enjoyed this manhwa. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.